Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Guthix Rest. This is a special episode number 14. I am joined by my wonderful co-host,
Birdfacts, that's me. I'm the co-host.
and a special guest, the Hawaiian shirt enjoyer himself, Oxie.
Hi, I'm Birdfacts. I'm the co-host.
Nice. Let's go. I love
Funny,
that guy.
funny, I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt with birds on it right now.
Yes.
Hey.
Nice.
And
Hell
they're
yeah.
tiny little toucans.
Love me some toucans. Funny little guys.
They do seem like funny little guys. I went to it's like a petting zoo / like exotic animal zoo. Like half of it is like goats you can feed. The other half is like bobcats and toucans and kangaroos. And it's just like a weird amalgamation. And it's also a cider mill. So it's a whole
What
weird
is this
thing.
place?
It sounds awesome.
It's called Anderson and Girls, and it's a cider mill.
The name leaves more mystery than it solves.
Right, well, you'd think it'd be called Anderson Girls, right? Like that would make sense. Anderson, his girls help run it, so Anderson's like Anderson Girls, right? It's Anderson and Girls. So there is no mention of whether or not the girls are related to the aforementioned Anderson at all. Like if you go on the website, they're all there and they kind of look like a family. Just a weird naming convention. Also, it's just the animals are wild. Wild in the sense of they shouldn't be domesticated, but also like
Just a weird choices.
exactly. They had a bongo one year I went. At like just on the other side of a petting zoo. They have camels. What I don't know. I've just never seen a cider mill with like that variety of creature before.
And sorry, what state was this in?
This is in Michigan, the state that I live in. So
Camels in Michigan.
yeah. I mean, some camels, depending on where they live, can tolerate snow. So we think of camels as like desert animals, but deserts do this really cool thing at night where they get frigidly cold. So,
It's fair.
yeah, I think some camels in like Mongolia or something can tolerate snowy weather, and they'll do just like other animals will do, like in North America, where they'll just eat through the snow,
I never really thought about like camels being in like Mongolia or any sort of cold climate, but I guess that makes sense. Yeah. With the desert, goes from scorching hot to well below freezing at night.
Mm-hmm.
What a weird place, though.
The camels seem to like it.
Yeah, I'm sure they're taken care of pretty well. Were you able to like feed them and stuff?
So I think there is like an opportunity to feed the camels, but there's an opportunity to ride the camels, but it's only on the weekends. And we went in the middle of the week. But
okay.
Again, this is the wild part about this, right? Like I've seen camels before. Like there's the Detroit Zoo in Michigan. There's camels there. So like I've seen them, but these ones walk like right up to the edge of a fence that you would keep like a cow in, and you can just like pet them on the sides and like scratch their noses and things like that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, whole ass animals. Like some cages have signs that say please don't touch, other cages don't, and like am I supposed to pet this thing? It's sort of like up in the air cuz literally it's advertised as a petting zoo.
I mean, I'd say if there's no sign, then as long as no one yells at you about it, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
I want to pet all the birds. Every single one.
The birds did have a sign. They had some big ass like stork looking birds. I don't remember what they were called. But they were pretty tall and pretty loud, and they had a lot of signs that said do not pet the birds. But they also had a parakeet feeding walkthrough that was also only open on the weekends, unfortunately.
All the cool things only open on the weekend.
I know. It's like the weekend is when they get the most foot traffic or something. Like stupid.
I know.
Crazy.
Should be open.
Imagine having a Monday through Friday normal work schedule. That'd be wild.
Dude, I can imagine it. And man, let me tell you, I gotta do this shit for the rest of my life. Oh.
There are definitely upsides to having weekdays off, because like 2 o'clock on a Tuesday, I can just go to the bank or do whatever I need, and there's no one around. Not being able to do things on the weekend with other people does kind of suck.
Yeah, I got to a point, like, in grad school where if I had to work on the weekends, or if something came up when I had to work, I'd just be like, yeah, I'm not going to be there. Don't pay me. They'd be like, find coverage. I'm like, I'm not a manager. I don't make the schedule. I'll ask, but if I can't find someone, I'm still not going to be here. You know?
When I got my current job, I made the conscious decision that if I'm calling out, I'm not, like, asking them to, like, hey, is it okay if I'm not there? I'm just being like, I'm not coming in, and I'm not finding a cover. It's not my job to find the cover.
Yeah. I've got that a little bit.
It's been great.
It's nice to have that kind of efficacy where you can be like, I am or am not going into work. Because 99% of the time, I'm going into work. Like, I even had a conversation about it with my boss today because we've got XP Waste North coming up in the beginning of August.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, I'm like, yeah, from like Thursday to Monday, I'm not going to be at work. But I probably won't have any PTO because I'm using all my PTO that I've accumulated this year for my vacation. Just don't pay me because I'm a salaried employee. Like, don't pay me. I don't care. She does this cool thing where she will take off and not put in time off requests. So she's accumulated a shit ton of PTO, I'm pretty sure. But I guess that's been like the trend with the directors. So at my place, which is, it's cool. So we just sort of like, you know, take time off when we desperately need to, but she's super chill about me just like, yeah, leave a sticky note on my desk so I know you're not here. And I even said, like, yeah, if I'm ever not here around 8 o'clock when I should be, I overslept. That's 100% what happened. Like, I'm not just...
Does that happen very often? I assume probably not.
Oversleep, no. Wake up too late, yes.
I did that like all the time at my last job.
Yeah, like I will, like today I woke up at, I actually woke up super early today. I woke up at like 6:40 because I had a dream that I was getting married to a friend of a friend who I had only met like one time and didn't remember her name. But while I was at the wedding, like we were at the rehearsal dinner or whatever, and my entire groomsmen party or whatever they were, all the groomsmen were like kids I work with, which was awful. And then like my two best friends who somehow like didn't get invited to be in the groomsmen party. But I was like, hey, you guys should come hang out anyway. Like my best friends from high school. And to end the dream, I got to the hall where I'm supposed to marry this girl. And I realized I wasn't wearing a tuxedo. I was wearing like basically what I am now, which is basketball shorts and like a Hawaiian shirt. And I'm like, I can't get married in this. So I talked to my dad and I was like, dude, I forgot to bring a tuxedo. I left it at home. That's crazy. He's like, we'll have to go down the street and rent one. And I woke up feeling anxious for being underdressed for my own wedding at like 6:40 in the morning. And had a brief moment of like, shit, I got to go back to that wedding. And I was like, wait, no, I hear my cat. It's not real. We're fine. We're good. So I was
Dreams are weird, man.
Yeah, I was up kind of early today. But I think like Thursday morning, for example, it was like a 7:32 day. And I got to be to work by 8. And it was just sort of like roll out of bed, put clothes on, comb my hair, and leave. But
yeah, I'm definitely a morning person, but I don't give myself enough time in the morning really to get ready. I'm like, I roll out of bed, and then I'm just like, all right, time to speed run getting ready. And I'm out the door usually within like 20 minutes of getting up.
I hate speed running getting ready because I just I'm reminded how miserable I am having to be up in the morning going to work. I love what I do. I would really prefer to do it from like 10:30 to like 5 as opposed to like 8 to 4 or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah. I assume you can't really make that choice for yourself, though, because...
Interestingly enough, I can, because my boss, you know, her and I fundamentally disagree on a lot of things. when it comes to our job and how we treat the, not necessarily how we treat, but how we view the kids that we work with. But we work really well together in that neither one of us care about small stuff like that. She's like, yeah, as long as you come to work for like roughly 40 hours, I don't care when you show up.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So like I could work from like 6 to 2:30 if I really wanted to. But I don't like being in that early in the morning, number one. Number two, my kids don't arrive at my facility until 8 a.m. and they leave around 3:30, 4 o'clock. So I'm just like, I'm going to get there when the kids get there, because if the kids aren't there, I almost always have nothing to do. So like...
Yeah. So I know what you do, because I've listened to you talk about it on
I have
XP-Ways,
no idea what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, I just realized, like 10 minutes into this conversation that we didn't really establish what you actually do for work. I mean, there's context clues, of course, but...
had I not mentioned that I work with children, my knee-jerk reaction was to say that I'm a plus-size stripper. And then I remembered, I'm like, shit, I said I work with kids. That's going to sound really bad. So I guess I'll, be less fun and say what I actually do. I'm a therapist. I work with kids in the juvenile justice system in the county that I live in right now. I'm their sit-down, how does that make you feel therapist. But I do a lot more than that, fortunately or unfortunately, because my facility is becoming more and more short-staffed by the day, it feels like. And, I have to I've gone from being the fun uncle, like your mom's brother who is handing you beers at the age of 15, like fun uncle, to the asshole stepdad who came in out of nowhere and is trying to be in charge of what you do with your life, And I don't like that shift, because regardless of whether or not I'm the stepdad or the fun uncle, I'm still the only therapist in the building. So regardless of what mood the kids are in with me that day, they may still have to see me for a session. So my job has been a little wonky the past couple of weeks, but primarily what I'm there for, what I'm professionally trained in, is how does that make you feel, mental health therapy. And my population is youth aged 12 to 17 in the juvenile justice system. So,
and that's peak little shit age where
God, it is. Oh my God. I don't know. Do either one of you guys have children?
Negative.
No, thank God.
I mean, I imagine not, because I feel like
I was a child once.
We skew a little bit younger than most RuneScape players. I'm 25, and Bird, you're 20.
I said I was 23 today, but I am unfortunately 24.
Yeah, you just turned 24.
Baby. I turn 27 next week. So I am none of us are old enough to have a teenager ourselves, right? And we were teenagers, but it's really hard to look back and be like, "Oh yeah, I was an insufferable piece of shit."
That's pretty easy for me.
Oh no, I was an
insufferable piece of shit. I can tell looking back, and now working with these kids especially. Jesus Christ. 14-year-old boys. It's it's a weird mix of I love you all very dearly. You are my client caseload. I am concerned about your well-being. I want you guys to be okay. You're all young men, and I am passionate about helping young men become good men, drop the misogyny, drop the, toxic masculinity, stuff like that. I always tell them, if you learn how to be vulnerable and utilize your emotions, you're going to be that big, tough, safe, strong provider that you're told you have to be as a man, but in a way that you never expected to be possible, right? So I'm on their team. I want them to succeed. I also want to pluck my eardrums out with a cocktail fork when they are all in a group together, singing TikTok sounds and asking the same stupid questions over and over again. And because I work in a facility, you're here because you're in the justice system. You're going to get redirected if you do dumb shit. So when we're in the van and we drive by because I live by a university, we drive by a young girl on a run, and a 13-year-old goes, shit, man. If I wasn't here right now, the riz I would pull. And you got to turn around and go, damn it, Birdfacts. Enough. You can't say that. Right?
Dude, you said TikTok, and I forgot that TikTok existed because I've never really involved myself with social media, and fuck, I forgot how annoying people that like are frequently engaging with TikTok are. Oh.
As someone who engages kind of frequently in TikTok with my rampant ADHD, I'll listen to sounds on repeat. I don't know if anyone else does this, right? I have about 400 favorited sounds on TikTok, and there are times instead of music on my drives to and from practice, for example, I'll just listen to TikTok sounds because I like them. It tickles my brain in the right way, and I like it. I'll listen to it. Don't ask me why, right?
I mean, there's something about like TikTok and YouTube Shorts and all the other like short form videos that like are just so addictive.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, recently I got YouTube Advanced on my phone again, and they have an option to completely disable YouTube Shorts on the YouTube app. And my God, it has been so much better for my productivity. I don't open up YouTube, scroll for like 2 seconds, and somehow get sucked into a bunch of YouTube Shorts. Like TikTok's, I think, even worse though for like just the addictiveness of it. Just like all of the like the way they do like the reuse sounds and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy just to like scroll through that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, TikTok is literally built to be an algorithm platform to serve you the most watchable content possible constantly forever. So,
and boy, do they do a good job of that, let me tell you.
The algorithm is insane.
They do what they advertise
it's so
really
good
damn well.
that it is not as good in its country of origin because they decided it was too addictive. That is real.
Wait, is it actually banned in China?
It is not banned. It is a completely different platform.
Interesting.
It is significantly more like science and education focused because they're like, we can't have the kids watching this brain rot content. We need them watching, you know, productive stuff. Needless to say, it's not nearly as large in its country of origin. It's still surprisingly big from my understanding, but it is not like as insane as it is in the States and stuff.
I mean, you get me on like animal fact TikTok.
Dude, that is the
Like-
reason that I watch YouTube shorts is because I think YouTube's figured out that I don't really give a shit about average YouTube shorts content, and instead it feeds me like educational, science-y type stuff and like occasionally a meme.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is pretty good. I like this.
Yeah, I have this weird thing where like I know TikTok. If I open that app, that's 2 hours gone immediately. Like just take those hours off my life up front, because I'm just gonna dissociate regardless of what time it is. Instagram Reels, as not great as they are the killer for me, because I'll go on Instagram to like check DMs and see what new posts are up, and then I've somehow managed to get myself onto like fish talk on Instagram Reels. So I'll watch like 8 awesome fishing videos and then be like, oh shit, it's 7:50. I have to leave for work. Like Instagram,
Mhm.
I'm really that's the one that I'm down bad with right now with the addictive reel content.
I've never really gotten into Instagram. I think I've made like 2 accounts now. One, I was like, okay, let's try it out. And then I was like, this isn't really for me. And then I made another one. I'm like, okay, this one's going to be like my online persona, you know, AGuyNamedSparre, not, you know, the real me. Let's, you know, do this for like content creators that I follow and stuff. And I was like, I still don't really like this. But
yeah, I mean, unless
I
you
could-
follow like 1,000 people, TikTok's not TikTok. Instagram is really shit for just like checking every now and again, you know? Because not a whole lot changes.
Yeah, I feel like Twitter has that problem now too, where I feel like before I could check it constantly and my feed would change. The For You page would curate to like stuff I cared about, and it was really hard to not scroll. But within the last like 6 months, the For You page has just become terrible. And the following page, I don't follow enough people on my Twitter to like have it update enough for me to be able to scroll for more than like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And all the content just starts being stuff that I've already seen before.
Yeah, I've thankfully had my Twitter for like 5 years at this point with my like, I guess my online persona Twitter, which,
Mhm.
you know, whatever it is, I've followed enough people over the years where my following page is pretty substantial if I don't check it like all day, for example. And then my For You end of Twitter tends to update. It's mostly RuneScape stuff. It's RuneScape, Halo, sometimes political things I'm passionate about, but mostly just video games and cats. I've got a pretty well done Twitter.
You might call me insane for this, but I actually have 4 Twitter accounts.
I have heard this, that you have an excessive amount of Twitter accounts.
Yeah, so I have my main account, I have the Guthix Rest account, I have a politics account, and then I have an account that I just follow like artists that I like. And
He doesn't like to admit it, but that last one's the NSFW account.
Oh,
the last one is not.
It's okay. I know what that means. It's all right.
Listen, when you follow too many artists on Twitter, then your feed just becomes only art, and that's like kind of nice. But when you want like other stuff, it's obnoxious.
For me, that's the only reason I
For
ever
example,
go on Twitter.
If you're in public, the quote unquote art you look at is not necessarily appropriate. Or
yeah,
what?
you know, my boss. Let's just say I didn't leave my last work gracefully.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, honestly, the
Caught
only
you,
reason
caught you with your pants down. I see.
the only reason I ever go on Twitter is I'm usually watching YouTube and I'll discover like some new like really small animator that's made like 2 fucking videos that I'm like, wow, those are really cool animations, and then they'll have a Twitter and I'll be like, they probably have art here, and then they do, and then I scroll through that for like an hour because it's usually really good, and then I'm like, wow, time to not be on Twitter anymore.
Fair, yeah. You're not really a Twitter guy.
I don't really use Twitter. I'm not really a social media guy, as we've determined previously. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even link your Twitter in the descriptions.
No,
anymore.
because it's just the last post is essentially just me flaming you. So
true.
I mean, if you guys want to see Birdfacts flame the shit out of Sparry, go head over to twitter.com/birdfacts and check that out.
yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Is that actually the URL? I'm making shit up.
I don't know. It's I think
it's Birdfacts R.
Yeah, I think the handle's Birdfacts with an R at the end because you can't put a registered trademark symbol in. So I just use an R most of the time.
His last tweet is October 5th,
It's a
2021. It's me announcing our group Iron Man and that I was going to be streaming it.
Needless to say, he has not played that account for like a year and a half, probably more.
Yeah.
And I still play my group Iron Man as my primary account.
I honestly can't imagine that, starting a group Iron Man and then almost never playing it. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's weird.
You're
Wild.
bold, Spar. You're bold. I could never myself.
Yeah, so for listeners that might not know, you are one of the hosts of the XP Waste podcast.
I am. Yes, that's the thing I do with my buddy Michael. Go check out episode. Is it episode 8 that he's in? It was a little while. I don't know which one it is. It's a little while ago.
Oh, of mine.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah, no,
I'd imagine he's probably also in episode 8 of XP Waste. If you want to check that out.
I was gonna say Michael, who's been on almost every episode of his own show, go check out specifically episode 8. No, episode 8 of your show, Guthix Rest. I think.
No, episode 9.
Episode 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I'd imagine he's also on episode 9 of XP Waste.
I hope so.
I think so, actually. I don't think one of us takes a break until like episode 30. I don't think, but I'm not actually sure.
Okay. I was so confused at first. But yeah, you guys have recently started getting back into your group Ironman. How's that been?
I mean, it's Iron Man mode. It's fine, let me tell you.
That shit's awesome, dude. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's fine. Like it's not that bad. I mean, I'll bitch about Iron Man regardless of what I'm doing on the account, no matter what. But I really like. I'm doing Mahogany Homes right now, and it's super chill. It's not as efficient as I would like it to be because I don't have teleport tabs. So like, I have to like standard spellbook teleport everywhere. So I can't use NPC contact. And I feel super limited on supplies all the time, but not like planks, like law runes and shit, like stuff that I take for granted on my main account. Like, I'm in that weird spot, and then like I'm going for Song of the Elves requirements because my group Iron Man teammate and co-host of the XP Waste podcast, Michael, is trying to get his quest cape, which from everything I have seen on Twitter and Discord and YouTube and Twitch, he's got to get it before Desert Treasure 2 comes out because we're not going to
they're hyping up how
we're not
fucking insane that quest
do that quest day of release. Like,
I think it's not going to be that hard to do the quest variants of the bosses. I think they're hyping up like the post-quest versions. Hopefully,
I watched a video with Goblin and Arcane. They did a little modcast yesterday, kind of like impromptu about it.
Okay.
And one of the questions was like, "What stats do you recommend for the quest bosses?" And without thinking, Arcane said maxed, and Goblin was like,
"Okay." Well, to be fair, Arcane is also like a real gamer. So when we ask questions to him, he just like he has like, you know, I don't know if I assume his account's max, but he has kind of that max mentality where he's like, yeah, just have max combats. You do more DPS. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
there's
Goblin
definitely people that think that way.
Yeah, I think Goblin reeled it back with like when in theory when you're supposed to do the quest is like mid 80s to 90 combats, and it's going to be
still pretty high up.
It's going to be difficult for that era. Like they compared it to the Vanstrom fight, how like Vanstrom at level 75 or 80 whatever, like when I did Vanstrom on my group Iron Man, it was hell. When I did Vanstrom on my main account, it was even worse.
Is Vanstrom,
if I were to do Vanstrom Sins of the Father.
Okay, yeah.
The final boss.
If I
wasn't sure if that was Taste of Hope or Sins of the Father.
Yeah, no, that's Sins of the Father. Rannis from Taste of Hope is actually pretty
that
chill.
fight's not too bad.
But Vanstrom is the worst. Like, if I were to do it on my main account, though, like, swap my max melee, like, wear the everything except for, like, the Evadinous Flail or whatever it's called. I don't remember. The Blisterwood Flail.
Or yeah, it becomes a Blisterwood.
Yeah, with the Blisterwood Flail, Vanstrom would be a joke on my main account now, because like they said in the video, you can take an inventory full of brews and restores and you have really high DPS because you're doing it way later than you should. So
yeah, I did that quest on release with my nearly maxed combat at the time main, and did it blind and just
I think we both did it blind that day, right? Because I think that was when that was when I was still playing my main as well.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
And with an inventory of brews and restores, it wasn't a pretty fight, but I did it.
Yeah, I think I took
completely incorrectly
food and like a row of 3 brew and 1 restore, maybe 2 rows.
Yeah, I think you did it your second try, right?
Yeah, because the first try, I basically just went into the lab and figured out what everything he did was. That's usually my approach to new boss fights is, I'm going to die this time. What does this do? How do I avoid it?
I did it. I didn't do it on day of release. I don't remember why. I think it was like camping or something when it came out. Because it came out in the summertime, I think. And then they had the server roll back, and like I just never got around to doing it. And eventually, like maybe a week later, I went live after like the quest guide was already done. So I was like looking at the quest guide while I was doing it. It wasn't terribly difficult. I read all about how to fight Vanstrom. I was ready. I was prepared. It took me 7 tries. I was getting the shit beat out of me at Vanstrom.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
He's not a pushover, especially if you don't have like the best gear and stats. Like,
yeah, and even that was the problem I was having on my Iron Man. Like, flash forward 3 years or however long that quest has been out. Good Lord. Yeah, I mean, I've got the game knowledge. Like, I've done significantly harder pieces of content than Vanstrom. So I know how to avoid lightning and avoid all his like special attacks. But I'm like raw dogging him with like a Carol skirt and a black D-hide body and like a rune defender or something. Like, it's really, the gear was an issue.
Dang, I think that was better
like
gear
no
when I did
accuracy or strength bonuses.
No, I have a clip on Twitch of when I first, let me see if I can find it for you guys. The clip from when I actually first beat Vanstrom. You guys are gonna die at this gear. It's gonna be awesome. Filter by clips.
I think I just pulled like whatever my best melee gear was. I didn't even give a shit. I was just like, I'm gonna kill him.
Speaking of raw dogging bosses, the
hey yo,
the why can't I remember the name of the
You got this.
Nope,
I don't got
get
this.
there someday. Don't worry.
You can start describing if you're scared.
What do they call the Toa quest? It's the
Beneath Cursed Sands.
Beneath Cursed Sands. Yeah, I raw dogged both the boss fights in that, and used the wrong style for the Scarab boss, and still came out on top. It was really bad though. Used an entire inventory of brews.
I did that quest like a month after it came out. I feel like Michael and I wanted to do it together, and then we just didn't for so long, and I don't even remember why. And then like a week before TOA, we're like, we should probably do that quest, huh? So we did it, and we didn't have any issues until right before the Scarab Mage, where you had to put the different like animals in the different jars. Michael and I had to like give up because it was too late. And we're like just trying to go to bed. We're like, all right, this sucks. Quest helper, please save us. And then I didn't have an issue. I don't think I had an issue with the bosses on my main. My Iron Man, the final boss of Beneath Cursed Sands, took me like 4 tries, and my ego took a big hit that day. That was rough.
I think that one even took me like 2 or 3 tries with like decent gear. However, I was completely blind just figuring shit out because I just think that's more fun.
I'm so excited to do that day of release for DT2.
I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, I have the day of and the day after off work, so I'm gonna do it blind and grind the boss afterwards, or bosses. Super excited about it.
Yeah, I genuinely might take a personal day that day. I might tell my boss, be like, listen, I'm taking Wednesday off. I know I've had a lot of time off, but like, I'm taking Wednesday off. I'm not going to be here. Sorry.
I assume you're going to do that on your main?
Yeah, 100%. I'm not taking my base 75 combat, Iban's Blast, Dragon Scimitar, Iron Man to go kill these bosses.
I'm bringing my Iron Man.
Totally fair.
But my Iron Man also.
I mean, I think your Iron Man is better than your main now, isn't it?
My range DPS is definitely better. My mage DPS isn't, I don't think. But not by like a ton. I'm missing like a couple magic levels off my main, and Arams, which is technically an upgrade, but not really. As far as DPS goes. And then my melees are better, but my gear is worse.
Gotcha.
So.
Well, stats over gear any day.
Yeah, I think, I don't remember exactly, but I'd have to compare the accounts, but.
Speaking of killing bosses, though, Oxie, I was peeping your main stats earlier.
Uh-oh.
You're only 2 bosses away from having every boss on the high scores after they've lowered their requirements.
Yeah, which part of me feels like I've cheated a bit because I only have it's like 26 hard modes and I should have 50. I think that might be it. I think that's the only one that got kind of cheated for me. I think. And then like
CM's
Callista. Well, CM's was always 10.
Was it always 10?
Yeah, CM's was always CM's used to be 10. That's back in the days when like it was 50, 10, and 2 were the cutoffs. So like Mimic and Inferno were 2. Jad, Corrupted Gauntlet, CMs, those were all 10. It's like Skatizo was 10, Bryophyta was 10, stuff like that.
Was Zuck always 1?
Zuck used to be 2. So
yeah, that's what I thought.
So that's how you could tell. Basically, more or less, when I'd be at Versenhaza learning Tob, and that's how people would tell if you were a shitter or not, is if they looked you up on the high scores and you were on there for Zuck or not. And if you didn't have any KC logged at Zuck, but you had an Infernal Cape, the first question they would always ask was how much. And I had like a Fire Cape and definitely not high enough total level to be talking shit, so I never did, right? But like... Yeah, it's nice to see the little number there now, so I don't have to look back in agony and realize, God, I have to go back. But I also like kind of want to go back, you know?
Inferno's fun.
I mean, I've heard it's fun. I haven't done it myself.
Once you start to figure out what's going on, it's actually really fun.
I had that same thought when I was doing it as well. Like, I don't love this right now, but there will come a time I'm going to want to do this better. Like, because the same thing happened to me with the Fight Caves, where, like, it took me 6 or 7 attempts to get my first Fire Cape, and in the process, I was like, I don't mind the waves at all. Like, the waves are super fun. It's just the final fight that's really stressful.
I hate the waves now. Until the mages come out, the waves are just fucking boring.
Yeah. I always get pissed off on the waves because I lose.
It's kind of the same for Inferno for me. Of course, this is L take. I don't actually have an Inferno cape, but the waves for Inferno I find boring until I think the Rangers come out. Then I'm like, okay, now we're doing something. This is interesting now.
Inferno cape on the groupie win.
Hopefully soon. I'm trying to get a Colt.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the end of the list at this point for Inferno.
Do you have the icon from Muspa?
Yeah.
Okay. Hell yeah. Yeah, I saw a really scuffed Inferno cape on Reddit the other day. It was just like full crystal, and then the ancient scepter with the I think like an occult and Aaron's top.
Yeah, I'm thinking about grinding, I think it's mediums, to get the holy sandals. Because I have the tooth that lets you upgrade them into the slightly better ones. And I know that those, having the prayer bonus from those is really nice, because ranged boots are kind of a meme. So I might do that, we'll see. Do holy sandals come from mediums?
Mm-hmm.
Are they on the boots table?
Yep.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I have I did like one Drake's task, and I got the stupid tooth, I think it is, that lets you upgrade those. So I might do that, because the prayer bonus is nice.
I sat at Drake's for so long to get that tooth.
L plus ratio.
And it's not even worth like anything.
No, it's not. It's worth like 100k or something. If even. I don't even remember.
Yeah. Yeah, so all you have left to do, Oxie, is just Calvarion, which is easy.
But annoying.
That's a nothing. Yeah.
I think Calvarion's annoying. I like
Nightmare.
Fedion more.
I was just like, Calvarion, hardest boss in the game, confirmed. Not being ranked in Calvarion is a direct result of, for like a month and a half, not realizing that the tiny bosses made it to the high scores.
Yeah.
So
it was a weird choice that they weren't from the start.
Yeah, it was very odd.
Yeah, they just like got added in one day under the radar, because they've kind of been making these changes.
Yeah.
Really low key like that. I don't think they've announced it too much, and it's been over time.
It's always
I think, like,
it's always the like other changes section that's like at the bottom of the blogs. I think I remember we were recording the week that they added those, and it's just like, it's just kind of in there in the middle of all those bullet points.
Is the minimum now 25 or is it 20?
I think it's 20,
I don't know. It's been a hot minute since they've updated it. So
I was just like, because my lowest KC for what used to be a 50 KC boss is RTO with 25. but that's it. Like I don't know. I don't know what's lower than that. Like I have obviously less KC other places, but those are all the old ones that used to require like 10 and 5 and whatever.
I have 19 at Hydra, so maybe lower. It might be 10.
Jesus God. I gotta do some PNM then. What is my Fasani's Nightmare KC? I want to say it's like 3. So I just have to like do it. And then I'm on the board. I'm on the high scores for now. So I feel like that's something I should do. Maybe it's something I'll do tonight. I've got to be up late doing laundry because I'm packing and leaving for vacation, making a bunch of bad choices.
Nice.
So I might try to get ranked in PNM tonight, just so I could be like, now I only have to focus on the new bosses to retain that ranked in all bosses. But
do we know if the awakened variants are coming with the release, or are those post-release?
No, they said those are going to be post-release.
Okay,
but interestingly,
but
they said the orbs are going to come on release if it's voted into the game. Like if the poll passes, they're putting the orbs in at the start so people can start farming them early.
Are the orbs let you access
that's a good way to do it.
Awakened variant?
Yeah, they're the equivalent of like giant keys.
Okay, gotcha.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But I think from what Arcane and Goblin were talking about, they don't word it super well. I actually got this from...
I skimmed that article. I was just like, okay, they're making hard ones. Okay, Blood Torva, cool.
Yep, I did the exact same thing. I'm like, hard bosses, Torva kit, redesigned Torva, sweet. But I watched the modcast earlier today because I was like...
Yeah, I planned to watch that. I didn't have time, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was like, I bet my bottom dollar we're going to talk about these new bosses at some point. So I should probably not...
We might talk a little bit about it.
You know.
You probably are going to come into this more educated than we are. Because I haven't watched any of the streams or anything.
Well, it's okay, because I've completely lost what I was originally talking about to begin with. So, you know, it's a W for everyone, I guess.
Let's go.
Oh, I remember. The orbs are dropped by all 4 bosses, and the orbs will access any one boss. So at the bare minimum, you need a minimum of 4 to get... Because you have to kill each awakened boss once, and then you can recolor your Torva.
Are they... So is the orb like a permanent unlock for the awakened boss, or is it like giant key where like
it's like giant keys. Use it and lose it.
That's fucked up.
And they're tradable on the GE, so
weird.
Us spoiled mains can buy them.
That's odd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because they said this is supposed to be like aspirational Inferno difficulty content.
Yeah,
it seems odd that you charge an entry fee essentially.
I saw. Well, I mean, the Inferno, you had to pay a
single fire
access.
So they mentioned this in the modcast, right? They said that with the Inferno and with Theater of Blood, it took people a long time to get the first completion. I think it took Wooks like 48 hours to get the first Infernal Cape, and then I think it took the first Tob team a little over a day to get the first completion. But with TOA, when that came out, people had Expert KC done the first day. Like, people were banging out 150s off the rip. Like, it was a really... You know, even I finished a 150 duo the first day.
I think that's just because... I think most PVMers are kind of in agreement that TOA is not as hard as previous content. Still pretty hard, but not like...
Yeah.
But the thing with TOA that they mentioned was, you know, made a bit of sense was... You can access the bosses at any time, right? So it's the argument that Arcane made and, you know, other people have made over the years that Zuck is really not that hard of a fight. Run from left to right, get in the safe spots, kill Jad while moving, stay behind the shield after tagging healers, and kill Zuck.
It's like, it's kind of the same thing with Jad. Jad isn't that hard of a fight, but when you're new to the fight, you've done all the waves, and now you're like, you time invested, you're nervous about it.
As they said in the thing, they gate your practice time. So that's kind of what they're hoping with this is because these bosses are, they word it as like the stats are going to be buffed. There's going to be a bunch of new mechanics.
Yeah, I suppose also at this point, since it's an awakened version of an existing boss, you will also have the practice of literally doing the regular version of the boss.
Yeah, I think they're going to make it some variation. If I was a betting man, it would be some hybrid variation of like the stat buffs from CMs and the mechanic changes to hard mode.
So
yeah, I'd probably agree with
I
that.
saw a clip on Reddit of, I think it was Mod Goblin, saying he went hard on people. He was like, the bosses are going to be very difficult. You're gonna need to be able to like be someone that can do GM tasks and didn't just buy carries for it.
Oh, yep, he did say that. Yep.
And I'm scared because I don't think I have more than like 4 or 5 Grandmaster tasks done. And it's like the really easy meme ones. Yeah, I have 4 of them.
I think my only GM tasks on my group iron right now are all the gauntlet ones, except for the speedrunners.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have 10. A couple corrupted gauntlet. I've got like a lot of like KC ones.
I think if I remember right, Wolf Puncher 2 is a Grandmaster task.
Yeah,
and that task
Wolf
is a
Puncher
joke to me
2.
because I just 5-1 normally. So
Wolf Puncher 2, no pressure, all the KC ones. I do have the 6 Jad challenge. That's probably the hardest GM that I have done.
I need to do that, but I can't.
6 Jad challenge.
So that's it for now.
Yeah, the hardest one I have done is Kriara with a salamander, and that's not even hard. That's just obnoxious.
That's just 5 minutes of please don't kill me, Kriara. That's
yeah. I did learn the Blood Fury does work with the salamander, so that's cool.
Today I learned. See, I'm not the most educated here with the topic or whatever you said.
Everyone,
because I had no idea that was a thing.
Everyone I asked said no, probably not, and I was like, well, I'm gonna do it anyways, and it worked.
Did you check if it only works while you're using the melee style?
No, I just only used melee, so it might.
I'd be interested. I'd be interested to know if it only works while you're using. I'd imagine it would only work while you're using the melee style, since the Blood Fury is only supposed to work with melee. But salamanders are weird, so who knows?
I just put in my notes panel on Runelight, Blood Fury works with salamanders, and I'm going to keep that there for when I go for that GM task.
All right, guys, full Justy, Blood Fury, salamander, let's get it.
It's not a great tack, but it's definitely one that's going to guarantee a kill, for sure.
Yeah. I went in and just prayed to the gods that I'd kill Kree, and I went through like 3/4 of my brews before Kree was at like half HP. But then I just got really lucky in the second half and was able to finish it off with like a brew left.
Could you say that they had you in the first half? Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'd say that for sure.
Classic. I love that meme.
What do you think about the new Torva look? I've been holding off asking Bird and like
thank fucking God
PMs about it, but
I think it still looks like garbage, but it looks so much better. I really like
the new look. I really like the Blood Torva, too.
Blood Torva looks okay. I've just never liked the way that Torva looked. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what it is. I was never a huge fan. But
I mean, it was just ported from the RS2.
But I mean, like, when I played RS2, I didn't like Torva.
Oh.
And then when it came to old school, unsurprisingly, still didn't really like it. I think the redesign is definitely better, and it fits the art style way more. Our buddy Malachi was talking about how it's a Torva nerf, and I'm like, buddy, take your RS3 goggles off. Nobody cares. Shut up. I con on him all the time for that, but
I was gonna say, it looks like all they really changed with the new one is there's more face guard with the new one, and I kind of like the way that sleek helmet looks.
Yeah, the helmet is I think so much better.
The one thing that throws me off about the old or the current Torva is the helmet looks. It's kind of like a skull, which is
bucket helmet.
Kind of, yeah. It's got a cool skull on it. That's pretty neat. I think the new version definitely does fit old school a little bit better. So I mean, I'll take it. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm pretty indifferent. I think I like the way sleeker armor looks because growing up playing Halo, least the original Halos up until like Reach or so, the armor was a bit more sleek and more formed to your Spartan. And then when Halo 4 came around, they're like, we're going to put these fuckers in a tin can and it's going to be big and bulky and gross. And I didn't like that art direction really at all. So I think, I just like the look of this like sleeker armor. Blood Torva is a bit thick, but the big shoulders aren't too bad. And the color palette is just absolutely chef's kiss. It's going to look so good with the scythe. Kind of looks like shit with the Ferocious gloves. That's probably the only thing that's really throwing me about it, is the Ferocious gloves really don't match. But
yeah, I think it's just a problem with the Ferocious gloves, though. They're just a weird color palette.
Yeah,
that's kind of average for RuneScape, though.
Yeah, it's got the
pieces of armor just
the
not
twisted Zaya look, and the twisted Zaya look is not a melee look, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but looking at the Blood Torva, the helmet feels darker than the rest of the armor. Like, the gray is the same color, but it doesn't have as much highlights, so it, as a whole, just looks darker to me.
I think they mentioned
it throws me
that
off
somewhere. And then they said they made the helmet lighter, but it didn't look like they made it lighter at all. And so people were memeing about that. I feel like I remember that happening.
Yeah, okay. It says they've made the grays lighter and a little bit brighter, and the reds are more saturated, so they show a little bit better. It doesn't say that they adjusted the helmet too much. I can kind of see in the feedback it almost looks like they've changed it, but I think that's because the other two secondary colors are a bit more pronounced.
I put it in broadcasting chat.
I also think it doesn't help that the face end of it is all black. That doesn't do it any favors. Yeah. So I think that kind of like over exaggerates how dark the helmet is because we can't see inside it. Whereas with the new Torva look, it doesn't look too bad because there's a lot of contrast around it, if that makes sense. With the lights and light grays. But
yeah, I think that's what I was trying to get at with, like, there's no light bits to contrast the dark bits on the Blood Torva, so it just looks darker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe if they used the same kind of more silverish gray from regular Torva on the actual armor parts, might resolve that issue. Mm-hmm. But I think I do like
they use the BH dragon boots.
Yeah. See, okay,
in that screenshot because the prims look really weird with it.
Is this a thing that they have talked about? How exactly do Blood Torva drops work?
So,
like, do you get one from each boss? Do you just farm one boss to get all of the pieces? It seems weird to me that there's not 4 ornament kits, one for each boss.
So they have said that it's not really an ornament kit. It's more of like a permanent dye.
I see.
I think from what Arcane was talking about earlier, you have to kill each of the 4 bosses at least once, and then on the 4th and final boss that you kill, like once you kill all of them, it's a guaranteed drop of like Blood Torva dye or whatever the ornament kit is, and then you apply it to each piece of Torva, kind of like you would with like the League's kits for like Void or whatever. But it's not something that attaches to Torva, and I think it's reversible.
It's just a toggle option all your Torva now has.
I think that would make the most sense, because I mean that's how the 6 Jad thing is. Like my Jad pet, I just right click Metamorphosis, and there's no like drop required.
Yeah,
it's just
that's
cool
pretty like standard of pets though, to have like Metamorphosis options. This is kind of new territory for armor, I think.
I think what they will probably, I think they want it to have an item so it doesn't kind of clog.
Well, no, actually, it's
the
not.
right click menu.
Yeah, it's not particularly a new territory for armor because some of the newer event items actually you can metamorphosize, like the Easter nest that you can put on your head. It can have either an egg or a bird in it. You can like right click change it.
Unfortunately, my bisexuality scarf isn't best in slot at every melee piece of content in the game, so I don't know if it really matters for stuff like that, but I think if it's a die that you can take off and, trade or put it on and then have it be the untradeable flex, I think that's cool. I imagine most people who have Torva and then get this cosmetic are not looking to trade their Torva anytime soon if they can help it.
Or not.
No, it's something you probably keep for the most part.
Unless a new super weapon comes out that doesn't use melee. If it's another T-Bow or another Shadow, maybe bin the Torva, depending on what the content is. But otherwise, no.
I feel like most people that have Torva, it was like one of the last upgrades that they got.
It is.
Yeah.
Because it's...
So usually you're not binning it because you already have everything else.
That's what I'm saying, unless there's a new super weapon. Unless there's a new...
Yeah, I guess you could bin it and then
Shadow
buy
or
the new
T-Bow.
super weapon.
Yeah, that's
even if
that's
it's a
what
melee
for.
one, it might still be worth it to bin the Torva and buy the new super weapon and just wear like bandos.
Not if you're on the highest of the high levels. It's not. Because you're almost inevitably losing max hits.
But are you gaining max hits with the new super weapon is the real question, right?
I mean, that's obviously a hypothetical, but like talk to any GM and they're going to tell you that if it's a new melee weapon, you don't sell the Torva. You probably
I guess you have
sell
everything
something
else
else.
you can bin. I was just thinking
sell the Ellie would be my first thing is sell the Elysian because you're
especially
not
if it's a
gaining
two-handed
damage from
weapon.
that. Whether it's two, I mean, even if it's one-handed, sell the Elysian because you're still losing max hits without the Avernic. So sell the Ellie, sell the Eldritch Orb, sell the Harmonized Orb, sell the, maybe ZCB. It also depends on what the content is used for. But if it's a melee weapon, you keep the Torva.
God, I wish I could afford Torva.
Same, dog. I've been trying to buy Ancestral for like 6 months. Every time I get close, it spikes up 50
It just keeps going up.
Dude.
Yeah. It was so cheap before, and now it's like shot back up.
Sometimes
I was really close to being able to afford Claws a while back, and then they shot back up, and I was just like, oh, well, guess I won't have Doge for a while.
Sometimes I don't miss the GE.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, can't
but,
relate, brother. Gotta love with you.
I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I've always been the kind of guy that once I buy a thing, I get way too attached to it for no reason, and I'll never sell it to buy a different thing anyways.
Same.
So I was terrible at playing a main.
I'm not terrible at playing a main, let me tell you. I'll use the shit out of the Grand Exchange, but like we've been kind of talking about like what items I could sell to buy Ancestral or to buy a T-Bow or whatever. Because I'm really close. I think if I kept my Scythe and sold literally everything else in my bank, I could buy a Shadow. But it also isn't helpful because like that requires me to sell
the rest of the gear.
Well, it's not even just the rest of the gear. Like it's all my food, all my potions, all my house tabs. Like I have to sell everything to buy a Shadow.
Okay, you'd be digging real deep for that.
Yeah. I don't want to get rid of the Scythe or the Zenites for anything.
Yeah.
The Zenites are your keep no matter what. And I just don't want to get rid of those.
Except for maybe Torture.
Surely Scythe will be good at one of these bosses, right?
There's literally no way. If it's not good at one of the bosses, I've never owned a Scythe in my life, and I'm still gonna lose it. Actually, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Scythe has continuously just gone down and down in value because it's just not good at any new content that's come out. And I don't understand.
Yeah, I know for like the first day of TOA, Scythe shot up to like 700 mil because people thought it was really good. And then people started getting their hands on Fangs and realized Scythe was not that good. And then I remember like I was using a Scythe at Muspa when it first came out because on the day of release, we weren't entirely sure. And I didn't have T-Bow or Shadow. So I was just like, Scythe tack, we'll see what happens. And I didn't like it that much because it was like, it's a ranged boss for one phase. So I figured like, maybe melee will be really good. It wasn't. So
yeah, the boss is just stupidly tanky to melee for like no good reason, in my opinion. You can't hit at all with any melee.
Yeah, I mean, if I were a betting man, the weapons that are gonna really shine at the new bosses: Scythe of Vitur, Osmumpton's Fang, Twisted Bow, Shadow of Temekin, Venator Bow, Ancient Scepter.
I hope
the
Venator
various
Bow has
upgrades.
some interesting use cases in the new bosses. Venator Bow has a lot of like niche use cases that are like good, but not really like worth it for most players. I want them to make it so it's like actually not mild copium worth using.
I mean, all they had to
Surely.
do at one of the bosses is just have it shoot something at you that you had to attack, and it shoots 3 of them at a time. And then Venator Bow is good, you know?
Yeah, I think
You can still barrage or chin it, but Venator Bow would be...
Yeah, I was about to say, the problem is, like, if it's 3 things that you are, like, if it's, like, those guaranteed max hit type of things, you can just pipe all 3 of them. Who cares?
True.
I think another issue, at least another issue that I foresee with that is like, if that's most of the boss fight, that's tedious and boring. I think what they
That's
could
fair.
do is, I know one of the bosses is called the Leviathan, and I know over the course of human history, the term Leviathan has referred to a lot of different sea creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's like 3 tentacles that attack you at the same time. And you like attack it. It is the best DPS with the Venator bow.
Actually,
and
just
max
camping
range.
Venator Bow the whole time would be kind of chad.
Like, yeah,
That
to,
would
like
be.
because you kill them the
Holy.
fastest when you kill all 3 of them at the same time, or maybe you have to kill all 3 of them at the same time. And Venator bow is the best thing for that. I thought Venator bow was gonna be best in slot at Muspa. Like when I did the quest, the spikes that come up, I thought you had to destroy them because I'm like, oh, surely this is what the Venator bow is for Muspa, and turns out it's just not very useful there.
Yeah, Muspa, like, RuneScape has kind of a thing where, like, the boss drops what usually is really good at the boss. Muspa doesn't do that, like, at all.
Yeah, it's one of the first for a really, really long time where it
Yeah.
doesn't do that. Like, a really long time. Other than, like, with the exception of, like, Corrupted Gauntlet.
Yeah, I was going to say that as a
'Cause-
joke, but that kind of goes without saying, so I decided not to say that.
Yeah, like,
I mean, if you could bring a Bofa in, I'm sure you would.
You do, though. You essentially just make a Bofa in Gauntlet.
Exactly. So, you know, drops its best in slot.
Oh man, I still think it was funny when they added Bofa. There were a lot of people that were like, they should make it so the enhanced weapon seed can also be made into a magic staff. And I was like, yeah, great idea, guys. I'm sure Iron Men that already won't stop fucking bitching about trying to get a Bofa wouldn't bitch about that too.
oh, but
The
I would
Iron
also
Man
assume
meta-
that Iron Men are going to stop bitching, period, and that's your favorite.
That's
flaw.
so true.
That's the
True.
mistake.
Oh my god.
God,
The
I hate
Iron Man
Iron
meta
Man.
of just throwing yourself at Gauntlet until you get full Bofa Crystal, like the moment you start your account, just seems so unfun.
Yeah.
Oh, here's
I mean,
another one. Vedion, that accursed fucking skull. That doesn't do shit against Vedion.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised they didn't make it so the Woldy bosses were weak to one of each style.
yeah.
Instead, it's
Odd.
just crush ranged, you know?
Yeah. I was very surprised by that. I think
I think it was
I
just
got
because
kinda
they were
tilted.
working with pre-existing bosses, and they were like, "Well, we don't want to change what they're weak to."
but
Stupid.
they did, because Venenatus, I brought my crossbow the first day it came out, and I was getting super tilted because I was getting shit all over by Venenatus. I'm like, this isn't fun. I've killed this boss like 1,200 times. Why can I not kill it now? Turns out that it's because melee is the best thing to bring, and
Yeah, I guess
prior
that's
to the
true.
rework, I would have never dreamed to bring melee to Venenatus. She used to have that variable attack speed that would like hit you for 60, 60,
I was about
60.
to say, wasn't that not because of the fact that it wasn't weak to melee, but just because, you know, it was a wildy boss and it was garbage, and using melee was just not worth it.
I thought she
just
did have
save
some
boss.
comically high defenses. Like the meta
Yeah.
back in the day used to be Verax. Any boss that like Verax is best in slot, that's bad news.
Yeah, it means it's
That's-
a bad
that's
boss.
That's bad news
I mean-
if Verax is the best thing.
Yeah, in the Gielinor game, skill specs is in the wilderness trying to kill Callisto before the rework, and some other guy shows up and just starts Varacking the boss, and he gets beat out despite using the chain mace. Like the
old
Verax, isn't very good.
Joke.
But the passive effect, is almost necessary for breaking past their old defenses.
Yeah, and it also sucked because like you couldn't bring a whole lot of, unless you're willing to risk all of your Verax, you really can't bring a whole lot of like strength boosting gear. Like you could probably bring Prim's Torture. I don't even know what your third item would be. Prim's Torture Berserker Ring probably is your best option because Verax is two-handed.
Yeah.
If you Trover Parchment it, you could bring an Infernal Cape. And then Divine with Piety. So that's probably like it's one of the fastest ways to get it. But I can tell you, I ain't taking mine. It has a Trover Parchment on it, and I'm not taking my Infernal Cape to the Wilderness ever. So that's a no from me, dog.
You don't want to be an idiot like me who lost their fighter torso in the Wildy.
Oh, F.
That was funny.
Yeah.
That's a big old F.
It was pretty funny.
You've lost a lot of stuff in the Wilderness.
Yeah, when I was a noob, I got skull tricked for Tacits. That was not a good time. Yeah. It was like a fifth of my bank at the time or something, so it was devastating. But, we've been talking now for, what is it, an hour? Jesus Christ. And, we haven't really done the thing we usually do at the start, which is kind of talk about our weeks. What's been going on. Let's start with our guest here, Oxie.
I was just about to say, all right, Sparry, how's your week been? Tell us about it. Are you
I
guys...
can start if you want.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead? Because I don't know your format yet of like how you guys roll with what you guys talk about for weeks. Because I could ramble about RuneScape or real life. So how was your week, Sparry? Tell me all about it.
I mean, we kind of like mix the two, just depending on what we've been up to.
He asked about your week, Sparry.
Okay, my week has been pretty good. I have been working pretty hard at work and getting paid, which is nice. Finally decided to start trying to build some credit. Got myself a credit card, so that's cool. Got approved for all that.
Epic. Time to not pay it off ever, right?
Nope, I'm paying it off basically as soon as I use it. I do not want to start getting a bunch of credit card debt. That sounds super not cool. But yeah, I mean, real life, nothing too crazy has been going on there. But in game, I've been an absolute gamer.
I have been seeing some gamer things with your name attached popped up.
Yeah. Did I get the Thermi pet last week, or was that this week? Did I talk about that
this week?
Okay, well, I got Thermi pet, and then I got Thermi pet again. So I have 2 Thermi pets now in under 3,000 KC, so that's cool.
You have one Thermi pet and a reclaim token.
True. I thought I was gonna go dry for that boss, and then I didn't. I got spooned, so that's cool.
Average.
Still killing it though for the jar for the green log.
That's the worst. Jar hunting sucks. That's where I'm at with Hydra right now.
That's where I'm at with Cowfight Queen.
Misery.
I do not want to do Cowfight Queen.
I am also... I think I need the jar for Cowfight Queen. I don't think I ever got that. Yeah, I just need the jar. Jars are just not satisfying to get, because they're worth, like, no money, and it's not a cool little pet that follows you around, so it's just feels bad.
It's time to scare all the collection loggers. Mutagen.
Yeah. I mean, mutagens are cool, though.
They're cool, but they're rare as fuck, and there's 2 of them. And they have unique collection log slots.
Yeah, that's true. At least it's not as rare as, like, the jar from Skatizo.
Was.
That was an absolute meme of a drop. But yeah, I got the double pet drop, and then I also became an elite combat achievement haver.
Hell yeah. A fellow Jad Helm enjoyer.
Hell yes. I was closer than I realized, so I just sent a bunch of like easy tasks, and then I had some annoying ones that I knew I could just sit down and do. Like I went into TOA and I did a 300 all boss invo monkey and Zabak. And let me tell you, a path level 5 monkey, because I did the Zabak one in the same run. Path level 5 monkey with all invocations on, kind of annoying, but Red X kind of makes that a joke.
I wish I knew how to
Zabak just becomes... It's so easy. It's harder than it looks. Or it's easier than it looks. It looks harder than it is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
With True Tile on, the hardest part is setting it up after the first boulder
and
phase.
there's like 1,000, not 1,000, but there's a lot of different strategies to do that as well. You have to find one that you like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Mulgoat Kirby just put out a new guide on like new strats on how to set it up, and I kind of want to just hop in and practice that, but what I really need to do is hop in and practice how to do Butterfly, because I still don't know how to do that.
Butterfly I can do, but I have Sang Staff, so Butterfly is not great for me to do because you lose so much DPS. But once I get the shadow, Butterfly is gonna be pretty easy.
Doing Butterfly is only worth it if your team has shadows.
Now there is a 4-tick method for Butterfly that people have told me about,
it's
but I've
copium,
not
in my opinion, not worth it.
I've done it because I was like, oh, if I'm gonna learn Butterfly, I'm gonna learn the 4-tick. So I did like a couple of runs trying to do it, and I can get it most of the time, but it's like 6 clicks every time you run around the boss, and then you attack. It's not 6, but it's a lot of clicks. You're clicking 6, way more than you do.
4 move tiles and 2 attacks.
It's more on the 4-tick.
Oh, we're talking about the 4-tick. Yeah, it's probably like a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Probably closer to like 10.
Yeah, it's not great. And you have to be doing it with the correct timing, and it's I don't know.
I don't think it's worth it. It's better to just know how to do 4-tick, in my opinion. For when someday theoretically your account has a shadow, and like just know how to do that. In my opinion, I don't think learning 4-tick Butterfly is worth it. Because even if you're doing 4-tick, Butterfly, your DPS is not as good as your melee or range setup, probably. So it's not worth camping that.
Yeah. I think
unless you're
really,
down bad for supplies or something.
Yeah. I do a lot of like 5 to 8 man raids in the TNL Discord, and
as far as my understanding goes, very few of them have shadows.
No, a lot of people in there have shadows, actually.
Because I was under the impression that you did a lot of learner raids.
I do a lot of learner raids, but usually we have like one of the gamers with a shadow as well.
But even if you just have the one shadow, it's not worth it, right? Because your DPS is lower overall because the rest of your team has higher DPS in another style. So, I don't know.
I mean,
probably
you blowpipe
the main benefit, though, isn't really just camping the mage style. The benefit is you're not engaging with any of the mechanics.
Yeah, I guess you're not having your teammates grief you.
Phase. Yeah.
Because like
my teammates don't grief me, I grief myself, so I'm good.
There was a raid the other day where it was like a 5-man or something, and someone was butterflying, and we changed, we get the orbs dropping on us, the black special, and someone moves by accident, hits everyone, and then someone else freaks out because they get hit, so they start moving, and pandemonium then just breaks out and everyone dies. I think we had like one person alive at the end of that.
Average.
And the whole time I'm just yelling, stop moving, stop moving, stop moving, stop moving. But it was too late.
Sounds like a party.
It was too late. No, I do a lot of learners, but like most of the raids I'm actually sending are like 300 plus invos. We've been doing like 350s usually, I think is our average. Good times.
I've heard y'all run like 8-man aerial assault. You guys are crazy.
Okay,
That's
aerial
easy.
assault is absolutely free if you know the people you're raiding with. You just sync up on the corners, and whenever he does anything that forces people away, or like he throws out the eggs or something, you just reset back onto the corner, and it's just so free. I don't know. I think if you were to have aerial assault off, you'd have to turn on something that's more annoying, in my opinion. Like, I really don't like Boulder Dash. I don't like...
Caffrey's a she, by the way. I had to confirm that, but you said he, and I take offense to that.
I know. I know Caffrey's a she. I don't know why I said he.
I had to go confirm, because I was like, am I going crazy? Hold on.
I was just going to let it go. I got to be honest.
I'm petty.
Boulder Dash, Aerial Assault, and Upset Stomach are the 3 worst invocations in the raid. Changed my mind.
Yeah, but at
also,
our invo...
if you main dehydration, you're a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, I was about to say, hold on.
That
Dehydration and feeling special. Or
Hello?
not feeling special. The one that makes you use
Keep
double
back.
Special. Keep back kind of sucks, too.
Oh, Double Trouble.
What a good
Double
time.
special attack is fucking terrible. Yeah, and Double Trouble kind of sucks, too. Double Trouble's really only good if you're
speaking
soloing.
of Double Trouble, for some fucking reason, once again, instead of learning how to butterfly, I learned how to staircase for like Double Trouble. Why? Why did I spend my time doing that instead of
That's
just...
a good question.
I don't know. I can staircase now, and it's flashy, so that's cool. But like, I don't know why I learned it instead of butterfly.
Like, I can understand learning to wave skip, because that actually has, like, use.
Mm-hmm.
But staircasing, as far as my understanding goes, is just copium if you don't know how to butterfly.
Yeah, I'll staircase sometimes when we're in like big raids and I don't trust people not to get hit by one of the quadrants. But like, I try not to do it because I find every time I do it, people are like paying attention to me instead of the Simon Says, and then they end up dying.
My favorite was still when people discovered that you could staircase by having 2 accounts follow each other on the right ticks.
Oh yeah, that's real fun.
That shit is so
someone
funny.
Someone we raid with sometimes does that, and we'll all just follow him instead of actually doing the...
So funny. I love that that's the thing you can do. It's
very funny. Yeah. Anyways, I don't think I did anything else this week besides those 2 things. I might have done a 99. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I'm looking. I think 99 Slayer was a while back at this point now.
The most recent one I was aware of was smithing. I don't know if Slayer happened after that.
I can't remember anymore.
Glad you got your Elite Combat achievements after 99 Slayer, so you can get more superiors.
Yep. Anyways, Bird, how's your week?
It's been awesome. I don't think I've logged into RuneScape a single time.
I don't think I've seen you on at all.
I might have logged in for a little bit to chop logs, but I bought a lot of games in the Steam Summer Sale, and I have a lot of games that I've needed to play for a while, so I've just been playing other games. I played Tunic. That game's awesome. Love that. I really respect that Tunic has like a bunch of like secrets that you have to like kind of... There's like an in-game manual that like is like a classic game manual where it's like, you know, here's these little cute art things and it's like teaching you how to play, and there's like a bunch of secrets that are hidden in it, but you don't need to be a fucking super genius to figure out all the secrets. It's just like, it's enough of a challenge that I could actually figure it out myself and didn't have to look up like a guide to get all the achievements and stuff, and I could just figure it out myself, and I felt cool and I liked that. So it was a fun little game. I think that was like 16 hours of my time. That was well earned from that game. What else did I play? Been playing Halls of Torment. Have you heard of this game, Spar?
It rings a bell.
It is a Vampire Survivors-esque game.
Okay, then no.
It's really good. I actually really like it.
This literally just looks like Vampire Survivors.
Yeah, it's Vampire Survivors if it looked like kind of like Diablo or Baldur's Gate.
Interesting.
And I think it's better than Vampire Survivors, personally. I never really liked Vampire Survivors. I thought that the kind of like format had potential, but I could never really get into it. Halls of Torment, I think, scratched the itch for me a little bit more. The way you unlock stuff, I think, is similar to Vampire Survivors. You have to like get achievements, and that unlocks X item or X character or whatever. I haven't played Survivor. I didn't play Vampire Survivors for very long, and I don't really remember anything about it. I think I played like one run, and I was like, eh. Halls of Torment's been fun, though. I've discovered that I'm a very achievement-based person, which kind of checks out. It's kind of why I like RuneScape. I like getting the milestones and stuff, and like, completing collection log slots, etc., etc. Because once I unlocked like most of the actual items that you can get from achievements, and like the rest of the achievements are like, you just get some currency, you get gold. I'm like, I don't really care about this anymore. I've unlocked all the things.
Yeah, that's how I felt with Vampire Survivors once I did most of everything. Everything else was just like extra.
I don't see
money.
myself playing the game just to like play it, I'm there to like get the things. And it's kind of the same with RuneScape. I'm there to complete the objective that I have created for myself.
I mean, the nice thing about RuneScape is the objective could be
there's a lot of
forever.
Different objectives that you can make, which is probably, why people play the game for so fucking long. But yeah, that was good. I like that. Started playing Hi-Fi Rush. That game is really fun.
It looks good.
Yeah, it's really good. I appreciate that it has a story, but it's very much just a game that is intended to be fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Like, the story is coherent and makes sense, but there's a lot of things about the world where they were just like, yeah, I don't really give a shit. It's more fun if the world acts like this, even though it doesn't really make any sense.
I mean, yeah,
the whole goal of the game is to just kind of be fun. The story is very silly, but just serious enough to keep me engaged. The part that wasn't engaging was that my Xbox controller started acting up, and it would just disconnect randomly while I was playing the game. And I wanted to die. That was terrible.
Oh, that's fun.
So I've stopped playing Hi-Fi Rush because my controller has forsaken me, and I hate it. But the game's good, so that's a thing. I think that's about it. Other than working, I was working. I'm tired because it's a lot of physical labor. Got to pick up wine bottles and put them in boxes, just like for 8 hours
over and over again.
So
yeah,
I remember those days.
Yep, I'm done now though. That's over. I was mostly just doing it because, like, friend of a friend or something knows the person that operates the winery, and they just needed help, and they were paying, and I was like, sure, I'll help them out, and I got money for it, so it was fun. Everybody was nice. I got paid. That's all I really care about. I'll be honest. And I also got free wine that I won't drink, because I don't drink.
Wow.
So that's gonna.
What are you gonna do with it?
Probably just give it to my parents. They'll drink it.
That's fair.
Maybe keep one of them for the lads. Who knows?
Yeah. Give one of them as a gift to like an event that like kind of requires a gift, but you don't really feel like buying one for.
Yeah.
Like, oh yes, here's this.
It's
rather distinguished bottle of
it
wine
is
I got for you.
Really expensive wine. The winery I worked for is I think one of, if not the first winery in Washington State to get a 100 score on the like wine grading scale, which is the highest score that you can get.
Wow.
So they don't fuck around there. They got some real shit wine. I wouldn't know because it just smells like ethanol to me because I don't really drink. So all alcohol just kind of reeks of alcohol because I'm not used to it. So, but apparently it's really good. So yeah, pretty awesome, pretty great. Anyways, now you can talk, Oxie. How's your week? How we doing?
I mean, not as good as expensive wine, that's for sure. My week was all right. Fucking, I'm fed up with my kids at work. I need a vacation, which conveniently I'm going on next week. So,
Dub.
I've spent a majority of the week working, wanting to go on vacation, fencing, and editing. That's yes.
I didn't know that you did that. That's sick.
Yeah.
That was something I always wanted to get into, but I just never did.
It's a shit ton of fun. I fence 3 days a week. I recently got elected to be on our club's little board thing. I'm the new secretary of the club. I was nominated and I got voted on after I accepted the nomination. So I'm now on the club board, which is fun.
Let's go.
Yeah, and I'm just fencing, doing my thing.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's mostly nice to unwind after work, but because I work with teenagers, and unfortunately a bulk of the fencers are also teenagers, like there are times I just want to have a conversation with an adult where I don't have to be mindful of the fact that like for example, I have a kid who fences saber with me. I'm mainly a saber fencer. I'm one of the only ones in my club, and I got this kid who absolutely loves it. They did it one day with whoever they came to practice with, and they were super apathetic about trying it, but then I taught them how to do it, and they're like, oh my God, this is awesome. So we've been doing saber together for several months. So I'm having conversations with them more and more like I would have conversations with a grown-up. And every time I have to remind myself, I'm like 11-year age difference. I'm like, they're 16 years old. Like they're not, like, I just need adults to speak to. And it's maddening sometimes to go to practice because it's either high schoolers or people who are in their like mid 40s, early 50s. Like I think I'm one of
no in betweens.
I'm one of like 3 people in their mid 20s in the whole club. And one of them is a coach who's been there for several years and has a very different like. So his dynamic with the younger kids is he's the beginner fencer coach and then also has been at the club for a long time. So all the kids who are like in high school now were in the like junior Y12 league when he was in high school. So his relationship looks different with some of these kids because he's known them his entire life, almost like he's hanging out with his cousins rather than just more teenagers. And whether or not anyone else who's over the age of 21 shows up, it's hit or miss. So, you know, it's rough at times. But that's my only critique, though. I love fencing. It's so much fun. We're starting to make preparations for next year's summer nationals, and we're getting really excited. But we just need more people who fence saber at my club. But anyways, so yeah, I fence after work. And then I edited a lot and stayed up way too late editing because it was my week. And, you know, as I'm sure Michael will tell you, interview weeks are always a good time because there's the third audio track and they're
Sparry can say
at
that
minimum 3 hours when we have interviews, which, again, good problem to have, but like, it's a good problem to have until it's 1 o'clock in the morning. And you're like, okay, achievement of the week again. Yay. I'm so glad I spent so long on this section. It's 2 a.m. I have to work tomorrow. You know?
That's part of the reason I don't think I want to do the video edits anymore. Because I already spend so much time on those because I like cite all of our sources. I like put shit on the screen every other second. Oh my God. Having to do that for a guest episode that's way longer. Like,
take it from me. I don't think people care that much.
No, it was something I was doing because I kind of like podcasts that are like that, but now I understand why there aren't many that are like that because it's a lot of work to make that for every episode, every week, constantly, all the time.
Yeah, we briefly had someone offer to do editing for us, in an exchange that may or may not be real world trade. I don't want to think about it too hard. But in exchange for some bonds, they edited 2 episodes, and then we're like, yeah, this is a lot of work. I was like, yep.
I think I literally called when you had asked me if he wanted to do it. I think I was like, he's probably going to say it's too much work after he does it for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like, no...
Yeah, no hard feelings at all.
No hard... Like,
I was expecting it, and I was okay with it. I was like, he's probably not going to want to do it anymore, and I don't want to do it anymore either, so...
Yeah, I, like, warned him. I'm like, it's a lot more work. Like, even if you do, like, way less editing than Bird did, if you're trying to emulate the style like you said you were, it's going to be still, like... 6 hours of editing.
Yeah,
like, it's not.
I think when I did my edits, they took over 12 hours, not including rendering time. So that was all.
Yeah, I've gotten
work.
Very speedy with the audio editing, mostly just due to not having to censor things anymore, which is great.
Yeah, because censoring things is kind of the same reason that it takes me so long to do the video edits, is because you have to listen through the whole thing constantly, and once you get to a thing that you need to edit, be it censoring or in my case finding an image and then putting it on there, you have to do a thing, and then that takes time.
Yeah,
and then you have to go start listening again, and then you have to stop, do a thing, and start listening again, and also you have to like adjust the timings, make sure it's in the right place, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm. There was a segment that happened a month or 2 ago in one of our episodes where Michael got on this weird soapbox about combat or something, and at some point he said, at some point combat has to evolve in this game.
I remember hearing about that happening.
It wasn't a gag. It wasn't scripted. It just rolled off the tongue.
I think on the episode where Michael was on, I think we talked about the fact that he said that.
Well, yeah. I did the edit for that week, and I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if I added some like sound effects or whatever? So I don't know if you guys know the Lacrimosa, however you pronounce it, by Beethoven. I led up to that, and then as soon as he said it's time for combat to evolve, the choir kicked in, and I showed like an evolution of combat image that slowly like zoomed in onto the screen, and then did like a beep, and then went right back to the show. That alone took like 20 minutes. For like 3 different sound bites and like moving stuff around in various spots, because like
what's essentially a 10-second gag.
Yeah, it takes so long because you have to go. Like, all right, I know how I want this gag to go. So then you have to go get all the assets to allow the gag to be a thing. You gotta go get the music and the image.
Assets are free.
Hoping the assets are free, and hoping that they aren't in some fucking weird format that you then need to convert because it doesn't work in whatever video editing program you're using. Fuck you, WebP.
Oh my god. Don't get me started on WebP.
I discovered a workaround for WebPs. There's a setting on Firefox that just doesn't allow WebPs at all, and just makes it so that instead the websites are forced to use JPEGs, and if they can't use a JPEG or a PNG, it just doesn't render the image at all. And that was really helpful for finding images.
You do that, because I need to do that. Yeah, I use Firefox.
I still use Chrome primarily right now, but when I was editing, I only used Firefox because it was like I could just like look up something on like, the RuneScape wiki or whatever, and I would always get a JPEG or a PNG, no matter what. But yeah, like I was saying,
which version of the file you're downloading on the RuneScape wiki.
Yeah,
because I've never had that WebP problem.
It's pretty rare.
I've had the WebP problem.
It's pretty rare on the old school wiki, but it does happen sometimes. And if you have the problem of it downloading or trying to download a WebP, you can just like go to the source section of the wiki and grab the original source image, and that will give you the JPEG or PNG. But it's more clicks, right? So it's easier for me to just tell Firefox, always show me the JPEGs or WebPs, and then it's just, or JPEGs or PNGs, and then it just gives it to me.
Fucker. I just went to the old school wiki. I just went to the first page. First tab I clicked on was bestiary. Clicked on a random number of guides, and the first monster I clicked on was Twig, a troll that guards the prison in the troll stronghold and appears in the troll stronghold quest holding cell key number 1. I right-clicked the image and said save image as. It went to WebP file. I did a staggering one extra click and clicked
Not
on
available on
Twig
all images.
and right-click save image as a PNG.
Yeah, not available on all images. Sometimes when you click on the main image, it will still try and give you a WebP, and then you have to go to an extra click and then click again. The thing is, right, you have to remember, when I was doing the edits, I was adding hundreds of images per episode.
Yeah. Every
Those
time
clicks
we
add up.
pockets to talk about anything, or we mentioned anything, especially in the episodes where we're like getting real deep into like one of the blogs, there was a lot of random
As a
bullshit
computer
just
science
coming up.
major, I try and reduce the amount of repetitive actions that I perform, just no matter what I'm doing. So when I realized that I was doing these extra clicks for no fucking reason, and I could remove them, I did. Because removing that one extra click that theoretically, yes, I am a lazy piece of shit, but removing that one extra click has theoretically probably saved me a couple minutes over the course of all the hundreds of images that I used. So, and then not to mention, it saves a shit ton of time for being not on the wiki and just on the wild west of the internet where images can be whatever the fuck they want. So, I don't know. You're definitely right. I am a lazy piece of shit. And I totally own it.
Live podcast. Just record your screen as you research this shit while you do the episode. just do that. Do that.
This is the
But then I have to look.
Birdfacts
Then I
cast.
have to look through and make sure that I didn't put anything stupid on my screen, and then we have the same fucking problem. Because at the end of the day, I still have to watch the entire thing.
That's just watching
and
the podcast.
Edit the things, and also I feel like that's a lower standard of quality than I had in the past. And that feels bad. I would rather, at this point, we've talked about it, I think we talked about it on our last episode. At this point, I think I would rather just upload the raw audio with just nothing. Because then it is just a standard, just like a static image. Because then it's just like a standard podcast listening experience. And I don't feel as though I have cheated them out of my old standard of quality. I have just given them a standard experience rather than changing my format to be easier for me, but making it worse. So I don't know. I'm very weird about this shit. Maybe completely unnecessarily, probably completely unnecessarily, but
to each their own.
Yeah. I thought about designing like a workflow where like as we talked about things, I would start saving the images as we talked about them. But then I was like, well, that might degrade the actual listening experience because now a little bit of my focus is, oh, we're talking about this thing. Time to go. Okay, I gotta go find this and save this image. Okay, there we go. What are we talking about again?
Yeah, I have to force myself not to have like Twitter or something open because I've been doing just posting random Torva
Yeah, what
pictures.
the fuck is that?
That's the graceful Torva right there.
I mean, I know what it is, but what the fuck?
It's it's graceful Torva, you know.
Yeah, not only is it
The
graceful
unwashed
Torva,
Torva.
it's fucking greasy graceful Torva.
AC.
Really does
I call
look-
standard graceful greasy graceful because it's just the unwashed, sweaty, greasy version of white graceful.
Oh, that's gross. You're not wrong though, man. I bet it's great to be on the other side of the podcast. By the way, you just know you don't have to do any of the editing for this at all.
I mean, it's not changing how I'm doing anything because like
Yeah,
even on my own show, every other week I edit and I don't edit. It's just sometimes
that's true.
interview weeks fall on even numbered episodes, and sometimes I fall on odd numbered episodes. Like I got the Verf interview, Michael got the solo mission episode, so you know it happened. There was a stretch where like I had like everybody. Like I did Mighties, I did Chaos, I did Hanani. Hanani took a shit ton of time because there's so much that went into that video. That one took a while, but it was a lot of fun. I think I did. Oh God, I did someone. I did Tanzu and Virtuoso after that. And then I think Michael's done Zulu and solo mission and probably more. But interview episodes. They're fun. They're fine to make. I enjoyed, listening back. And honestly, when I'm editing, I'm not doing too much, Like,
Yeah.
I have a sneaking suspicion our audiences have a pretty decent overlap between one another. So
I'd suspect so.
If not, like, I don't do a lot while I edit. Like, I'm not intently watching the screen. I'm basically just like listening for fumbles that could be cut out and still keep it flowing like correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you'll fumble a word and you'll just keep talking. And it sounds really weird when audio is like cut off and starts again. Like, I can tell when it happens now all the time because I've been doing this editing for this kind of stuff for so long. Most people don't notice, or they don't care. Like, even right there, I fumbled the word notice, right? That is something I would leave in, because trying to jump cut that, if you try to do it in editing, it's going to sound bad, right? I don't love it.
I've gone back and like done a new take of something, but I say it weirdly like the second time because I'm like, oh, I have to re-say this, but the way I'm saying it is unnatural compared to the previous sentence. I'm like, fuck. And now it's just a huge pain in the ass. Yeah,
like I think the weirdest, we had a really weird transition at the end of the episode. Not the end of the episode, the going to break. I don't think we communicated when break was actually supposed to be. So I thought Verf thought we were on break for a hot second. And then it was just like, I'm going to get a drink. And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, see you guys later. And then just like stopped. And we're like, whatever, we'll roll with that. But no, editing is not a super active process for me.
Yeah.
Like, I usually multi-log while I edit. And that's what I've been doing all week. I've been training prayer and training construction on my groupie. I still have like 2,500 more abyssal heads. So glad I chose this grind. It's really not too bad. It's just slow because I'm not doing it super efficiently. Like, I think honestly right now at 237k an hour, this is the most efficient I've done this grind in the probably 4 levels that I've done it. So it's been slower than it needs to be. But it's because I'm like recording, paying attention to 2 accounts, stuff like that. I'm only on 1 account right now because I was like, oh, I'm a guest. I'm not going to multi-log and be a guest, I gotta have some etiquette here.
Too upset.
But, well, 2 accounts gets really distracting. Like, trying to run fair. 2 different activities that kind of require my focus, right? Like, I'm killing reanimated abyssal demons as we speak. It's really not hard to do, So I'm not like struggling to focus on what I'm saying, but between talking to you guys, trying to maintain conversation, trying to listen, kill abyssal demons, and then throw mahogany homes on top of that, or a farm run on top of that, it's a lot of like, my brain's going in a lot of places, and my brain can go a lot of places pretty well over time. I've kind of adapted it to do that well enough. But perks of living with adult ADHD, I guess. I don't know. I'm on 1 account is my TLDR for that, and I've been in a skilling kick all week long. I've done some calculations for some various skills. I have a master plan. I don't know if you were in VC with us when I was talking about my master plan for 2200.
No,
were you?
No, I saw you guys were all in VC, and I considered hopping in, but I was like, I'm doing something else.
I thought you did for a second and then deafened. I don't know if I'm thinking of the right
That'd be completely
night,
average of him.
That would be very average of me. I do that all the time. I'll hop into a chat to talk to people, and then I'm like, oh, I need to pay attention to a thing. So I'll deafen, and then I'll just not undeafen.
But
it might have been that night. I don't know.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember, but I have a goal to get 2200 by the end of the year. So currently, if I get base 90s, that's 5 more construction levels, 4 more rune crafting levels, 3 more agility levels. That's base 90s. give me 4 more thieving levels so I can get 95 thieving for chambers, and give me 3 more prayer levels so I can get 99 prayer. That puts me at like 2180.
Okay.
I've got 12 remaining skills that aren't 99. So if I get 1 level in each, that's 2192. So I need base 91s, right? That's the goal, is base 91s. And then I need to round out like 8 more levels. So I was doing some quick maths yesterday and the day prior, and I'm considering smashing out a buyable and just borrowing money from one of my like super rich buddies, like 10 bill, 11 bill, stuff like that. Borrowing like 470 mil for air battle staffs to cover that overhead, and then it only would cost me like 10 mil to get the 99.
Yeah, so, the annoying thing about a lot of buyables is just the overhead of being able to get all the supplies.
Yeah,
like,
and I can
selling
hear
over and over again is just.
I can hear Michael's voice right now going, "Oxie, buy construction. The crafting cape is a budget construction cape. Crafting cape cost me 10 mil. Construction cape will cost me, I think, with mahogany benches, 137 mil. Because I can't sell anything back, and like I'm still trying to buy ancestral because I still want a PVM. So I'm thinking crafting. I'm thinking herblore because I can get some like a decent return on my investment there. Like 99 crafting cost me 9 or 10 mil, but I have to take a 470 mil loan. I'll take it because I can pay back. I can pay that back like immediately, like as soon as I'm done with crafting. You know, I can pay that back and just take the 10 mil hit. If I have to take a loan for construction, then I don't get ancestral for a really long time, because then pretty much all the money I make has to get funneled back into who I took the loan from. And the people who I would be taking the loan from do not care. Like if I had to hit up one of my friends and be like, "Hey, can I have 150 mil for construction?" They might unironically forget they gave it to me. That's how little impact it would have on their like overall bank value wealth, right?
Yeah, so, it's like, you know, I've loaned out like just small amounts of money. It'd be like me loaning out like a mil, you know?
Yeah, pretty
like
much.
I wouldn't really notice a mil being gone, but
you really wouldn't. But in my head, that's the only thing I would think about. So like every purple split, every big drop doesn't get to be mine. Like every cool thing I get isn't mine. It has to be put into plat tokens to pay this loan back. And I've had it be like that before, where I've borrowed things from people. I've borrowed certain amounts of money. Like I think back in the day, I borrowed a bit of money to cover, I don't remember what it was. It was around the time TOA came out. I think it was buying either my claws or my hammer back or something. And within like 6 days, I got the money back for whatever it was. And I hit up my buddy and I was like, "Hey, I have your loan money." And he went, "Loan money?" And I'm like, "The money you gave me to help buy whatever it was." And he's like, "Gave you money for that?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, "I've been sweating my balls off to pay you back, and you remember you gave me the money?" So like, you know, I want to do a skill that I can get some return on. So that's kind of my goal there. And I've been talking it over with a couple different max communities of like, do the making money a little bit slower, you know, grind it out and just enjoy the journey and save yourself some ducats crew. And I've also been talking with the like, you need 600 mil for the best XP per hour. Let me know, you know, because we don't want to train slowly group. So I'm really torn between both. Like I think for gathering skills, I'm fine to take it a little bit more low and slow. Like volcanic mine's about the peak of efficiency I'll probably do for mining. Same thing with like, it's Guardians of the Rift, it's Temporos, volcanic mine, and then forestry and herbivore. I'm not taking
forestry
chains.
Seems really nice for training woodcutting now.
Yeah,
Like,
it
just-
seems it's super chill. I'm not 3 tick and chins. I'm not 2 tick and teaks. I have 2 tick teaks. It's actually pretty chill.
Yeah.
2 tick
I
teaks is
feel
one of
like
the few things
2
where
tick
like it
teaks
has
is
a
one of the-
really good rhythm.
It's one of the things that a lot of people are like, ew, tick manipulation methods. But I've done like most of the tick manip methods, and 2 tick teaks is one of the ones where I'm just like, this is fine. I don't know that I'd want to do this like a lot, but it's fine.
It has the same rhythm as a stack in the Inferno.
Yeah, that's true.
So for me, it was just like doot 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 doot, and I have done that so much trying to get the cape that like when it's like cut a fucking tree and not get hit a 70, like it's so much less stressful. It's
Yeah.
really nice. So I don't mind 2 tick teaks, but I'll probably just do forestry or redwoods. But like
You know what's-
sepulcher is gonna amp it up, and
Mhm.
but like I'm not doing lavas and shit. Like that's
Yeah,
Fuck combo runes.
Someone told me I should get lava runners for my 99 rune crafting when I start going for that. And I was just like, who the fuck do you think
I
I
have 2
am?
runecraft capes. Fuck that.
I was just like, I'm gonna go do ZMI. I have 150k day ult, and then I'm gonna just go do Guardians of the Rift till 99.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go pay for lava runners. That is
yeah, like
insanity.
I think
I
ZMI
hate-
is about as fast as I'm willing to go for runecraft.
for me, honestly, it's probably going to be Guardians of the Rift until I greenlog it.
Yeah,
And
ZMI is, in my
honestly-
opinion, nowadays, with Guardians existing, only worth it if you have day alt essence.
My advice to anyone out there who's trying to train like an arduously long grind, rune crafting, mining, fishing or whatever, my one piece of advice with my one caveat: start a podcast, but make sure it's not funnier than mine, and you'll be able to train these skills like crazy. Because once I greenlog Guardians of the Rift, blood runes and soul runes, baby. Like, I don't give a shit. I'll have 8 hours a week to train that skill between the recording and the editing.
Mhm.
So I'll have 8 hours every other week, but a guaranteed 2 or 3 hours every week to train. And you know what? If I only have to runecraft for 3 hours a week for 2 months to get 99, that's fine with me. So
The podcast has been great for my agility training. I've already done 100 laps at Prif today since we started recording.
I have
It's perfect.
514k prayer XP since we started recording. So I feel that.
Yeah.
I got
We're
nothing.
cruising.
Yeah, you're not even logged in, are you?
No, I made the
You're-
active decision to just not log in right now. I think I'm just gonna let the account sit until DT2 comes out in
Okay.
like a week and a half at this point. It's Friday.
Yeah, are we doing that blind day of release? Are we getting up to do that?
I'm probably not gonna get up. It depends. I'm starting
Okay.
another job soon, so it really depends
That's
on
fair.
what the fuck my schedule ends up looking like. But
I'll be waking up at like 5 a.m. to do it,
Yeah.
so.
I will do it on
Yeah.
day of release.
The downside of
regardless
living
when I get
West
home.
Coast is the content drops at an ungodly hour in the morning for
Yeah,
us.
it's like 4 a.m. I think, 3 or 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I think it's 7 or 8 a.m. for me. So I don't know what time.
Yeah.
But again, I genuinely might take a personal day because they were talking in the modcast that was posted yesterday, Thursday, because I know you guys come out on Tuesdays, right? The
Yeah.
modcast that was posted at this point last week with Arcane and Goblin, one of the questions was like, is this going to be an all-day quest? And they were like, probably. Like they
I feel
between
like that's
the
a bad
puzzles
question.
between the puzzles and the boss mechanics being totally brand new, like if you're waking
Mhm.
up and doing it without any sort of guides at all, probably going to be like a 6 or 7 hour quest.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
Sins of the Father took me like, I want to say like 3-4 hours to do it.
So, a
blind.
Kingdom Divided did the same thing. AKD took
Yeah.
me like I think 4 or 5 hours to do, and then Beneath Cursed Sands, I think Michael and I were going on our 3rd hour until we got stopped up at that urn puzzle, and it was like it's 11:30, dog. Like we gotta quest helper this bitch. Like I can't.
That puzzle was the bane of my existence. I think I literally brute forced it. I just did every combination I could think of. and then I saw there was a second part to it, and I said, all right, well, I'm gonna just turn on that little quest helper there. There we go.
Yeah. So I'm not looking forward to that. Like even with a RuneLite guide, Song of the Elves took me I think 4 hours the first time on my main.
A long one.
Yeah.
I just didn't
took
like
me a long time.
I
Warning's
just
in
don't
part
like
2.
that style of puzzle that Desert or the Beneath Cursed
Yeah.
Sands had. Like I've never enjoyed the
Guess
like
and check.
figure out. Yeah, well, it's not guess and check. It's just like figure out the order that they go in based on like annoying syntax of the sentence.
Dragon Slayer 2 has one of those puzzles as well, doesn't it? I think the part where you go to Zaya, and you have to like go to that guy's tomb that's in the Graveyard of Heroes. There's like this guy sat on this side of the table, and this guy sat next to this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that style of puzzle. I don't know what that puzzle is called, but it's bad. When we went to the escape room in Canada, there was one of those, and
it was the books, wasn't it?
There was the books, and then there was like the jar of body parts.
Oh yeah, those.
And yeah, I just let you guys solve those.
Dude, that one wasn't even that bad. The problem is we had the right order, but I think you had to put on like a specific one last in order for it to work. So we thought it was wrong for a little bit, and then we like put it back in the order that we thought was right. And I like there was one of them that was like a different color that was like supposed to signify that it goes in specifically that spot. And I lifted that one up and put it back down, and then it just worked. And I was like, God damn it. Our time could have been so much better if that hadn't happened.
Yeah, we got stuck on like 2 different puzzles.
We still did really good though.
Kind of bad puzzles. Yeah, we had a good time. I'm kind of mad that we did like one of the shorter ones though, because I think they were all priced the same. It's just
it was fun.
Yeah.
I think we were probably at about the point when we needed to split ways and go do other shit at that anyways, so.
Yeah, that's fair. What tangent did we leave off of to get here?
I think technically this whole thing started with Oxie, how's your week? I think.
I believe that's correct.
And then we got into editing, and then we got into skilling, and then we got into my 2200 total Grandmaster plan, and then we got into sweaty methods, and then I don't know how we got into quests from there. How did we move to quests?
It was because I was talking about how I'm not touching the game because you guys were talking about AFKing, and I was like, I'm not going to touch the game until Desert Treasure 2 comes out.
There it is.
And then we started talking about Desert Treasure 2, and then we started talking about how long it was going to take, and then we started talking about puzzles, and then we talked about how puzzles can be bad.
And here we are. So yeah.
You guys have better memory than me. I've told people my brain is just RAM. As soon as like I no longer need a piece of information, it just leaves my memory. It just dumps the memory. It's gone into the ether. So I just can't remember stuff like that.
R.I.P.
Sucks to suck, I guess. I don't
also,
know.
for some reason, names of things my brain just doesn't retain. Like I'll never remember like people's names, names for items, names for quests. My brain's just like, is that a noun? You're not allowed to remember nouns, buddy.
I'm pretty bad with names of people, but I'm good with like names of stuff. It's weird. I couldn't tell you the name of a single fucking person that I worked with over the past week. Except for Wendy. Somebody was named Wendy. I could probably, if I was good at drawing, I could draw a picture of all their faces, but I'm not good at drawing.
I can't believe you just
They're all just titled, oh yeah, you, nice.
Everybody knew my name. I don't know why. Everybody was saying my name, and I was like, man, I feel like shit for not knowing anybody's name, but I'm not going to ask.
Everyone at my work that I don't know is boss or king. So I'm just like, hey boss, can you do this thing for me? Or hey king. It's like, yep, that's your name when I don't know you. Which is a lot of people, because we have over 100 employees at my work, and a lot of them are front of house people that I just never interact with, so you know, it'd be like that.
Elbozos.
Anyways, anything else going on in your week, Oxie? You doing anything in game exciting?
I mean, exciting, kind of. I've been trying to get back into raiding, and it's been going okay. Just because I just want money. You know, I've been a little more motivated to, like, if I'm bored and don't know what to do, it's guess I'll do Zulrah. That's kind of been my default in the last week. Week or two, really. And then, I mean, I've been very busy IRL, but for the first time in probably like 3 or 4 months, I am excited to theorycraft goals and do shit in RuneScape. And it doesn't just come from the Verf episode either, because I know that particular term was one we used quite a bit in that one, but you know, talking about how to get these skilling levels, talking about or thinking about like how I'm going to get like the master CAs done, because I'm really not that far away, and I just got to stop being a shitter and do it. Like that's the thing. I can get the master CAs done. I just have to do it. You know?
Yeah.
I just have to do it.
Well, if you want to send any of the Toa ones, there's a few that I've been eyeing, and I just need duo partners for them.
You know, I might take you up on that. Part of me is like, I just need to do it with people who are going to force me to do it. Another part of me is like, get a shadow. Because like, I don't like, I have a weird bug in the back of my head that's like, anything expert mode TOA is hard locked behind a shadow. Which it isn't. It's not that hard.
So, like, I do all these expert modes, and sometimes I'll be in a raid with, like, 4 or 5 other shadows, and I don't have one. And I'm just like, man, I'm doing good. I just can't do the same damage as everyone else.
Yeah, it's when you're rocking the Bofa instead of the lobster launcher, and you get to that final screen, and you have 7,000 damage, and everyone else has 17,000 damage. You're like, yeah, I'm here, guys.
It just,
you don't die. You don't die. You have like 4 mistakes on your mistake tracker. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had raids with literally 0 mistakes, and it's like, oh, I feel so good about it. And then I get to the board, and it's just like, leech, and it's like, okay.
Skill issue, honestly.
Like, I want to start trying to do 500 attempts, but everything I've looked into it is you should get a shadow before you do that. Otherwise, it's going to be like absolute misery. It's just like,
I think No Monkey put out a budget 500 guide recently, didn't he?
He did. Yeah,
I'm in that same boat. I don't care a lot about the Fang kit, but I kind of want the Fang kit just because I'm in that like something has to go with my Infernal Cape. You know, I need something to hunt for.
I'm always in the camp of enjoying content slightly lower level than I probably should be doing it. I think it makes it way more interesting. So, coming from my perspective, doing like air quote budget 500 sounds really fun.
I don't know. I love a good power trip 150 on occasion.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that I don't like that. But...
I have a really nice, I think it's a 170 or a 175. Like, Oxie's 170s with the boys should be like a PVM therapy session that I charge for, because these raids are beautiful. We have no shitty invocations. The only one people could argue is shitty is Feeling Special, and that's strictly because at this point I can't do Akka slow. I will die doing Akka slow more than I will with Feeling Special.
I will remember every time that we do slow Akka and I'm in the raid, I like actively whinge about it during the Simon Says thing. I would talk about how I could have finished reading an entire fucking book in the amount of time it takes to fucking get the phase to end.
You want a really bad time? Do Wardens without overclocked.
Yeah, without any overclocked. No. It's awful.
Do Wardens with like no invocations.
Even if you have like just like the overclock 1 and it's like 5 tick or whatever. It's like, this sucks. This is awful.
Yeah.
Minimum overclock 2.
Mm-hmm. When we do learners, if they're like brand new, literally never stepped foot in the raid, I will do it with Overclock 1 and 2 and Feeling Special, and I will not feel bad about it.
Mm-mm.
You are learning with those on, and
Yeah.
I have good reasons for at least Feeling Special. Is if you don't have Feeling Special on when you're learning, you learn bad habits.
Yep.
And you'll stand where you shouldn't stand. You'll stand diagonal to people and start killing them. You'll run into people and kill them when you have the orbs. And it's just like...
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I think I've done one TOA on my GIM, and my groupie sucks combat-wise. Again, I've got the game knowledge of a long-term PVMer. I have the gear of someone who, like, went on RuneScape Facebook and got advice of, like, this is the best gear you can wear. Like, it's rough. My gear sucks on my group.
When you said your groupie sucks, I thought you were just flaming Michael for a second.
No, like my personal Michael has higher combat stats than I do. He's done a lot more PVM training. He's got a higher Slayer level. He's got higher combats. My gear is bad. And
yeah,
I think a 50 or a 55 with TMD. We had Feeling Special, acceleration, not penetration because I didn't feel like dealing with it. Acceleration, whatever the other one is, Overclock 1, Overclock 2. It was just an easy 50 or 55, but it had those exact invocations on. Because that's got to be the learner set. If you want to do a learner entry mode, it has to be Overclock 2, Feeling Special. All the other ones...
I also like having the one that makes 2 dung lines, so you can get used to that rotation at the beginning of Kefri where you trap the melee.
Yeah.
I got with you. I forgot that was an invocation until I did it with
right?
It's
easy to forget.
Team. I completely forgot. I think it's called Blowing Mud.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, Blowing Mud.
That's so standard these days that, like, when we did
it's only
this
called
50
Blowing
raid,
Mud because they can't call it Blowing Ass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they probably could. It's their game, but TMD and I lined up in the right spots to trap the meleeer, and only I got sent backwards, and he's like, what the fuck just happened? I'm like, oh my god, wait, is that what Blowing Mud does? Like,
it's actually just the freest invo points ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. My learner raid is Blowing Mud, Feeling Special, Overclock 1 and 2, and then I don't remember what it's called. The one that makes Baba's slam attack bigger. Because it's actually easier to dodge because you get more time.
Oh yeah, it's not Gotta Have Faith. It's not Jungle Japes. Is it Shaking Things Up?
Yeah, Shaking Things Up.
Another one
S.
Another one I would throw on there is
the backup to Blood Thinners.
Not it's Starvation? No.
No food. No hard food.
Oh yeah, that was also fine. I like having the backup to Blood Thinners, so you have the multi little blood guys, because the single giant blood guy just looks wrong. I don't like seeing that thing.
Yep, it's bad. It's real bad.
It's like, it's easy to dodge, sure, but I just don't want to see it. I just think it looks dumb.
Yeah, I'll turn on the 3 Zabak ones if I feel the learner can take it, but if we're doing like minimum setup, that's what I'm doing.
If you've never PVM'd in your entire life and you're opening up your PVM experience doing a TOA with me, you're going to learn in like 100. I've not done a learner TOA I pretty much only exclusively do them during bingo at this point. And even then, when I do them during bingos, we're doing, for me, what is a chill 150. And for the learners is like
hell.
Like, I'm fighting for my fucking life out here. Like, I think in fall bingo, we took a couple learners with us. Shout out to like Dean and De La Gente and Nate, who were all very new to TOA around the time of fall bingo. But we were going with like me and Fear from TNL. Like Fear has like a Shadow and Torva and shit. And I'm like, I obviously know how to do raids really well because we were getting into like the 300, 350 territory at the time. So 150s are super simple, and we're like breezing through the bosses because we're used to much harder mechanics. And these poor learners, like, I think we ran in without explaining how Akka worked the first time. Because we're like, it's just Akka. Like, it's just Akka. And they're like, what? We're like, oh, shit. And so, like, Fear started... I think he was butterflying at 150. I'm not going to lie. Just so I could explain what the boss mechanics were.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I pretty much only do learners during bingo. 'Cause that's unfortunately the only real time I've interacted with learner PVM in the last probably like year, which kind of sucks because like I used to really enjoy teaching people how to do new content because you know this is kind of the issue with being a content creator, I guess. It's like a weird problem to have. It's a good problem, but it's a weird problem of like when the show first started and people first started coming in and, you know, everyone was bad. It was fun to take people to new experiences and teach them chambers and teach them Nightmare and all this stuff. And then it was fun to learn TOA together and it was fun to get people in their first TOB. And now it's like so many people join a day that I'm like, I don't know how good any of you guys are. I think today alone, 5 people have joined the server. And I have no idea what their skill set is, whether perceived or actual, you know? Because we've had our fair share of people join who, like, they'll be talking about some piece of content. Like, there was one guy who joined, like, a year or so ago. And he was saying something about CMs or chambers or something. And Jesse, of all people, was like, yeah, that's not how that works. And this guy was like, I don't think you know what you're talking about. I've done like 200 chambers. I think I know. And the rest of the VC either got silent or laughed real hard because we're like, come on, man. Like, I don't think you quite know what you're talking about there. So I don't know where anyone's at. So for me, learners it's only really in bingo. And I kind of like it that way because I get to really get to know a select few people without having to be tasked with like teaching an entire Discord how to do a raid that I really don't like that much.
Bingo is interesting because, you know, you get to take this absolutely gigantic community that you guys have, and instead of having to put up with all of that, you're just like, all right, there's like it was considerably large team size. I think we had like 14 a team, right? For
it was 19 teams of 14, I'm pretty sure.
Which sounds like a lot, right? But at the same time, the amount of learners in those teams is not all 14 of them. So
no. But people are learning different pieces of content.
Yeah, perhaps they're good at the game, but they're learning content that they haven't done before.
Yeah, Bingo hyper accelerated my learning process of a lot of content because I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna go do like Cerberus, which I never interacted with because the moment I unlocked it, I went to it when I was a noob, and it was extremely unfun. So
you're telling me it stops being unfun ever?
No, it was still unfun. I don't know why people like that boss. But,
here, Cerberus sucks.
Cerberus is awful.
Yeah, a lot of the Slayer bosses I think just kind of suck.
They just reek of old boss design.
Hydra boring, but Hydra good.
Yeah, Hydra's all right.
I think I only have like the 14 Hydra KC because from like the one attempt I did where I was just like, this is not fun.
Yeah.
And then I skipped it.
I mean,
because it was like it's 150 Hydra.
I feel like it really just comes down to the fact that all the Slayer bosses are pretty old content at this point. And they just didn't make quite as good of PVM content back then. You can see it in chambers. Mudadile is just a tank room.
Yeah.
I enjoyed teaching chambers.
Don't get me wrong, I love chambers. But if you look at it objectively, a lot of the rooms are fucking dog shit.
I mean, the whole raid is dog shit.
Except for Ulm. I will defend Ulm every day of the week. Ulm goes hard.
Ulm really pissed me off for a really long time because I would be raiding. I don't know if it was the people I was raiding with or if I was just bad or what, but like Ulm was frustrating because I felt like I was the only one ever getting ramboed. Like I would be going with, especially during head phase at the very end, I would just get absolutely fucking shit all over. Whether it was because I wasn't avoiding falling crystals or I was getting bad RNG or because my teammates weren't putting the head to the other goddamn side. And I just kept taking auto after auto. Like, whatever it was, Ulm tilted me for a really long time.
Yeah, I feel like that might have been inexperienced or just downright bad teammates.
It was both. And I think now I know how to do Ulm. Like, I don't If I die at Ulm, I'm annoyed, but I'm not like I used to like legitimately angry at Ulm deaths because like there was a while where I was like, I'm so much better than this. Why do I consistently keep dying? And now I just don't care. I'm just like well, there goes the purple. Like, might as well just fucking leave the CC at this point. But
skeptical stuff.
no,
though.
for
I feel like every purple I've seen or gotten, somebody has died at least once, and usually at Ulm.
on occasion that is the case. Someone dies at the last second at Ulm, and you still pull a purple. I've seen it happen. Very rarely to other people, not to me, but I've seen it happen. But even with raids I don't like Chambers, really, I like teaching it. I like
I can agree with that.
walking people through their first time. I've not really been a TOA teacher because I don't do TOA at the higher end to feel comfortable enough being like, this is absolutely how you do this, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I feel that way for Chambers and Tob, and I'm not at the high end of either one of those raids. I just feel more confident in those raids to explain things to people and what they're doing and what their role is in that room. I love Tob learners. If I have one learner.
Yeah.
Two learners
don't.
in a 4-man, that's a lot. But one learner in a 3-man or a 4-man, ooh, that's good stuff right there.
I did a raid of Toa recently, and we were doing 6-man with 3 learners.
Yikes.
It was rough.
Yeah, I did. I have my one Tob KC on my group Ironman. That was, I think, my only real Tob KC. I don't think I have any on my main. Not even like one. I have the one on my groupie now, and I think it was a 4-man where I was the one learner, and yeah, it was really fun actually. I can understand why you would enjoy that from both the learner and the teacher side.
It's the best group content in the game, especially when you get comfortable enough in normals. Like when you have the gear and the know-how in normals to be like, if the learner dies, we're still going to get the clear. Those kind of raids, they feel good. Dude. Right? Because you still have the confidence. Like, that's why I think teaching Chambers feels good with the right group of people, because you really can't fail Chambers unless everybody DCs. Yeah. Right? So, when you have that confidence of like, I'm not going to wipe, so like, I'm not going to take it that seriously, but like, you get to encourage people, you get to see people do better. They last longer and longer and longer than they survive P2.
Seeing people surviving longer in both Ulm and at Verzik is... I can't attest to Verzik having only done one Tob, but as someone who's done a fuck ton of Chambers, seeing people just last for longer and longer, I'm like, yeah, you're doing it, buddy.
Yeah, when people get their first deathless Tob, that's always a really good feeling with their first deathless Tob.
My first deathless Tob was my first Tob.
I don't feel that way with TOA at all. Like, I think for me it's the gear restriction, because Bofa doesn't hit Warden. Bofa doesn't hit Warden.
For me, it's as
you got to get the BGS
as resident Iron Man.
BGS hits in.
As resident Iron Man, it's like, wow, I sure would like to do TOA, but I need a Fang. Just kind of end of story. If I want to do higher invos, I just need a Fang.
Sounds like you got to start running some 150s.
Yeah,
baby. But like,
I need yellow
I've
gem
tried
too.
To get him to do 150s with me.
It's like
I wear my best in slot gear is essentially Iron Man gear.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I've got
bad.
Bofa. I've got the blue partisan cope. I've got a fucking dragon sword. I need to get a
my gear's a little bit better than that, but like,
yeah, I've got peak like mid game Iron Man gear. It's awesome.
That's what my range gear looks like.
Yeah, my range gear is the, oh shit, this guy actually does play the game. I just switch into full crystal with Bofa. It's like, oh, interesting.
It's so funny.
Yeah, my range gear literally looks like, oh, that's a gray helm, and then I speak in public chat, and I'm like, they're like, oh god, no, it's not. Like,
yeah, for me, switching from my mage or my melee setup into ranged is so
really
fucking
it's
funny.
The melee that gets
Melee's pretty great. I got the fighter torso with the obsidian plate legs that I did not buy. I received them as a drop. Thank you very much. Dragon boots that are gilded. I did get that ornament kit. Really funny. Love the McDonald's boots. Dragon defender, dragon sword, regular Nezzy, no jaw, fuck you basilisks. and Fire Cape.
I was on my rebuild for my scythe, and I was wearing pretty much the exact same thing.
It's
I
a
had
good look,
scythe
man.
in my hand. Dude, you don't understand. You don't understand brutality until you make the mistake of speaking in public at Verisenhaza as a main account wearing Dragon Boots G and Obsidian legs. You look like a fucking moron. Like, it doesn't matter, because, like, you could justify, yeah, obviously it's a scythe rebuild, that's why you look like that. You're still gonna get made fun of, though.
Absolutely.
I've been flamed my fair share of times for rocking the Dragon Boots G.
My
fucking
Bofa
love the
rebuild,
Dragon
I
Boots
looked like
G,
a
though.
goober.
So fucking funny. The McDonald's boots go hard, man.
I'm kind of looking forward to my Tebow rebuild when I can wear, like, whatever fucking mismatch blessed D-hide
I love
have
that.
in the bank.
Whenever I see
Or I
someone
can
with
go
fucking
back-
like weird D-hide and they're not in iron, I'm like, that guy's probably doing a Tebow rebuild.
Yep.
Because people that are not doing a Tebow rebuild just have like matching blessed D-hide most of the time because they just like want to
here's
look
the thing.
cool. But by the
I
time you
need
get
you
that
to-
far into the game and you want to do a Tebow rebuild, you're just like, give me the cheapest stuff.
I need you to do me a huge favor and shut the fuck
No,
up, because I have an armadillo body, Zamrock chaps, and Saradomin boots.
But no, I'm
also
not saying
have-
that's
hold
like
on.
the whole
I
thing.
also
right?
have Guthix body, chaps, and boots for the magic set, because I was real poor for a long time.
Hell yeah.
I need you to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but there's the thing, right? Is that most people will wear the unified set when they're like, not starting the game, but they're not doing a Tebow rebuild because they want to wear X set or X set. Usually Guthix, and sometimes in the past it was also the ancient set. They were just the cheapest. Ancient set is not as cheap anymore. Thank you, Nex. But
Love that song.
Yeah, but I mean, the reason people wear that mismatched D-hide is because that's the D-hide you need for God Wars Dungeon.
D-hide. Yeah, no, I know. I kind of want to have that, like, this guy looks like a dumbass look with the Tebow. I'm kind of excited for Tebow, Missouri backpack, Infernal Cape, Black D-hide. I'm excited.
Missouri backpack, I have it, but it looks so fucking bad with my crystal.
Black crystal, baby. That's the solution. Black
yellow crystal. Let's go.
I'm not gonna wear the crystal.
If yellow crystal looked a bit more gold and a little bit less like stale piss, I think it's might.
Banana graceful. It looks like looks like a mildly rotted banana. And I love it. I'm gonna be honest. I agree it would look better if it was more gold, kind of like the gold graceful from Lovacange. Mm-hmm. If it was more towards that color, I would like it more. But I personally still am accepting of yellow crystal, but it could definitely look better.
I don't know. I got the green crystal, and it looked pretty good with the blue backpack, but I don't want to spend the money again to just recolor my crystal.
Yeah, I mean, joys of a Tebow rebuild. I'll probably sell my crystal and my Bofa. So I probably should get on that second Infernal Cape so I can get budget set up before I do, because it's gonna be annoying as shit to have to do like an ACV cape. It's not gonna be fun.
Yeah, fuck that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does not sound fun.
Funny enough, you can use a shadow with Max Mage and still get budget set up.
Really?
Yeah. Well, the only requirement is to not equip a Tebow.
Yeah.
It doesn't say anything about the actual value of the gear, so you can do a shadow run and get budget set up.
Is shadow any good at Zuck, or
if you bring ancestral and if you bring like a legitimate mage setup, yeah, it'll hit Zuck.
It's just generally not worth bringing an entire mage setup to the waves.
Well, you'd be surprised.
It's
shadow
not bad,
fucking hits,
but I think you're better off with literally anything else. I believe Scythe hits harder than Shadow.
Not with the Shadow. I mean, for speed runs, yeah, Scythe Tack is the move for speed runs. But I think if you're trying to do a mage Zuck,
I mean, yeah, if you're
probably
trying to do Mage Zuck, then yeah.
If you're trying to do a Mage Zuck, realistically, you would bring, for just like a standard run, not a speed run, it would be Ancestral Top, Bottom, God Cape, Occult, Tormented, Shadow, Slayer Helm, Holy Sandals, maybe Light Bearer, depending on what you're bringing with you. For a spec weapon, maybe bring Eldritch with you.
Bringing Eldritch could actually be like worth it since you're in Max Mage anyways.
Yeah, that could be good for
people
both
are
the barrages. Yeah, the barrages and the special restore. And then honestly, what might not be a bad shout is Anguish Backpack Blowpipe. Or Sangstaff for the healers. Tag the healers with the Sangstaff. Blowpipe would be good for some of the smaller enemies, but I mean, unlike the T-bow, where if it has a low magic defense, it's not going to hit. To my understanding, the way the shadow math works out, it just fucking hits everything like a truck. Like, I think it's designed for higher defense targets, but it just fucking steamrolls everything.
Well, I mean, yeah, it just has that massive multiplier for your mage strength.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather do a Shadow rebuild than a T-bow rebuild. Like, if I had the money for one or the other, I think I'd pick Shadow over T-bow.
I'm torn. I think I kind of want to do T-bow first, because I did promise myself I would start doing solo chambers this year, and I fucking hate chambers. It's a... Ugh.
Chambers
makes
awesome.
me sick.
I love chambers.
But I do have a lot of combat achievements to get for solo cocks, and I'm not going to get them by bitching and moaning, So I've got to learn.
I thought you had said on XP Waste that you're enjoying chambers recently.
Recently, I have been, and I think that it's definitely attributed to the people I've been going with. But unfortunately, I've not been able to go with the people that I really like going with, because again, raiding with my good friends who, when I'm going with people who care about as much as I do, which is very little, but have significantly better gear, it's in a really comfortable spot of like, I don't feel like I'm being carried, because I can do all the mechanics well. Like, I could even mage skip if you really want me to, but I'm fucking lazy and don't like to, I can do the content. It's that feeling, like I said with Todd, where it's like, we're gonna get the completion no matter what. Even when we do like trio CMs, like I did a trio the other day, maybe like a week or so ago, with Jesse and Fear, and we got to P3 and we were about to start head fade. No, we were about to start P3, and I was like, "What time do we have to meet?" And I think they said it was like 50 minutes or 45 minutes for a trio. And we were at like 29 minutes or something like that.
CM times with even decent gear chilling. Is just like free, from my understanding.
Yeah, we were big chilling. So after that, like first CM, where I was like, "Are we gonna make time?" And they're like, "We could AFK for 10 minutes and still make time." Like we're chilling. Like there's no pressure anymore in the raid. When Chambers doesn't have any sort of pressure, real or perceived, it's so much more tolerable. And I think it is one of the better money-making raids right now, because Ancestral's so expensive.
Yeah.
Ancestral's very up.
And I think for the most part, most of the drops from the raid are worth an okay amount.
Yeah, like T-bow's still pretty good. Claws are up. Dex is always going to be valuable. Arcane's always going to be a joke. What else comes from that?
Yeah, let's see. I think
Elder Maul's a joke.
2 mil.
Kodai's okay.
Twisted Buckler, Din's, the door is down bad. Elder Maul is down bad.
Elder Maul will never not
Arcane's
be
down bad. Twisted Buckler's down bad. Everything else.
I'm surprised Buckler's down bad. Buckler's like actually sort of useful sometimes.
So I don't know if I told the story on XP Waste or not, but I think I saw an Arcane the other day while I was raiding, and I was with mostly people I knew pretty well, but there was one guy who I had seen, but I don't know if I'd ever actually spoken to him before. And we're in the raid, we're at Ulm, and I told Fear, I was like, "Fear, when you get this Arcane, I challenge you for it. We're gonna beat the shit out of each other in Edgeville." like skull up and I'll challenge you for the arcane. Just because like it's an arcane, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
And the guy I barely ever spoke to, who was definitely in the Discord from XP Waste, shout out to O'Clay, got an arcane prayer scroll. And I went, oh, you've got to be kidding me. All right, get the gloves, meet me at Edgeville. I felt kind of bad. I was like, man, I'm really about to fight this guy, huh? So we each took a dose of super combat, and we didn't heal up, but we super combated. I didn't pray piety. And we fought at the Edgeville ditch, and he started fighting me, and he said, all right, good luck, and got up and walked away throughout the fight. And he came back, and he's like, yep, I'm in Lumbridge, so I imagine how that fight went. So I told him I'd split the arcane with him, because I didn't intend to like take it from him, because I didn't know him that well, you know?
Yeah.
When one of your good buddies, when one of your good buddies with an 8 bill bank gets an arcane, yeah, I'm taking that from you. Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
not that O'Clay was like scrounging for scraps or anything. He came rocking up with like a Tebow and shit, but like still, I didn't know him. I don't want to like steal it. So
Mm-hmm.
I figured I'd. That's the first time I've split an arcane maybe ever. But
yeah, I did a raid. I was in Boone Bape's chat the other day, and I did a raid with her and one of her viewers, and we got a ring, and it felt really weird. She splits rings, and I was just like, okay, sure, I guess I'll take like the 2 mil or whatever I was getting.
see,
But
with that right there, I don't split rings, wards, arcanes, or Justiciar. I don't split those items.
Is Justy
Yeah.
really down
That
that
means Justy's always been down bad. That means both if I get them, I'm FFA for those items. If you
bad?
get
as
them,
well.
I don't expect a split.
yeah,
Right,
Masori
same thing-
Helm is also that bad, by the way. It's 13 mil for a Masori Helm.
I mean, that one makes sense.
Well, TOA just feels bad, so I'll split a Missouri Helm depending on the scale of the raid. If it's a 2-man, sure, I'll take 7 mil. If it's a 6-man, nope. Like,
I've only ever seen Masori Helm in an 8-man, so
but yeah, I think I saw a Missouri mask back when they were like 60 mil. So that was a nice split.
Yeah.
But, and it was in a duo, so it was pretty solid. But no, I'm FFA for stuff like that. Same thing with like Onyx Bolts at Corp. If we go to a Corp mass or we go to a small team Corp, the only thing I split is sigils at Corp, which means if I get lucky on bolts, RIP. If everyone else but me gets lucky on bolts, RIP. Like, I'm just not taking a split. So if I ever go with someone and they split wards and they split arcanes or whatever, you guys can keep my share of the money, because that's just, I don't take splits of that stuff. It's a moral thing of mine, because it helps me justify not splitting if I get it, right? Because like, I don't want to be a piece of shit, and like I'm upfront about that, especially if it's people I don't know very well. You know, here are the appropriate FFA items for this raid, which is Ward, Ring, Arcane, Justy. I don't think I'm missing anything else. But and frankly, I don't think Justy's the worst thing in the world to split.
No, it's still like
But I
okay, like even in a 4-man, but it's nothing crazy.
They're like 13 mil a piece.
No,
But-
it's. I think the problem with Justy for a really long time for a lot of people was when Justy is 13 mil, 11 mil, stuff like that. But Scythe is 570, Avernic is 90, Sang is 100. Back when Rapier used to be 90 mil, like it's almost just not worth it. Like and that's a super elitist take for sure.
But that is the Tom way, is to be elitist.
That is, this is true. Yes.
I don't know what it is about Tob with just like having the biggest like gatekeeping elitist.
It's because
but
it's
it feels
hard.
Like,
the content gatekeeps itself by just being hard.
But
it's
not that hard if you have good teachers. That's the problem. It's really not that hard of a piece of content if you have patient teachers who are willing to explain things and push you.
But
and you
I think
respond
still
to that
even
well.
comparatively just to other content in the game, it's hard.
I mean,
I think
yes,
undeniably.
at its core, I don't think they're ever going to release group content that is more difficult than Tob.
Which is cringe, by the way. I understand why, because money, but still.
But like, I think as a group, Tob is at its base level, the hardest piece of content. You walk into Tob day of release, just as it's meant to be. Tob is harder than Chambers. Tob is harder than Nightmare. It's harder than TOA. Yeah, when you get up to like the 600 level Invocation, probably not, right? When you get into that, like, higher level money 400 expert, Tob is probably not harder. But like, again, at its base level, Tob is, I think, the cap for what they're going to do difficulty wise. Because again, just like we talked about, 7 hours ago when we started this episode, they gate your learning with the time you have to invest. Verzik is a challenging fight, but it's made even worse because you only get to practice it after 20, 30, 40 minutes of fighting for your life through 5 other rooms. Zuck is not a hard fight, but because you're only fighting it for 5 minutes of the 2.5 hours you're in the Inferno, only to die like a shitter because you moved a tick late with the shield like I did 8 times or whatever it was. It feels bad, and that's why it's gate kept, because it is so hard. Again, in a vacuum, none of the bosses in Theater of Blood are that difficult. It's usually wiping at the very end that makes it difficult and frustrating, especially at Verzik.
Every
Verzik
time I've done Verzik, I've died to P2 every single time because I cannot figure out that walk. To be fair, it's only been like 4 attempts, but like, I don't know. I haven't had enough time to practice doing the walk at P2 Verzik.
So what I recommend for people who are trying to get Tob ready, go to the fight caves. Bring a melee switch with you, probably a tent whip. Bring a melee switch with you, get to the majors and practice the walk on the majors in the fight caves, because they also run on that 4-tick cycle, and if you're next to them, they're probably going to punish you for it, just like Verzik will. Granted, it's the fight caves, and if you're trying to prepare for Tob, you probably don't care about your fire cape run, right? So it's low stakes, right? It's not practicing at Verzik where it takes 30 minutes and a bunch of supplies and the stress of like, I don't want to fuck this up for my team, just to die as soon as crabs come out on the field. But if you want to practice the walk, fight caves is the place to go. Or any boss that doesn't move, has 2 different styles of attacks, and attacks at a 4-tick speed. I can't think of them all off the top of my head, obviously, but majors is what we practiced on.
Or just do entry mode.
Yeah, I was told just do entry mode and bring in like an iron scimitar.
Entry mode doesn't change the cycle timing anymore, specifically for Verzik. Nilo's is still dumb. Nilo boss.
Nilo's is real dumb.
Yeah, Nilo boss in entry mode is dumb.
Not all of Nilo's in entry mode is dumb.
Yeah.
It's still just as long as a normal Nilo. It's the exact same waves on the exact same rotation.
But then
so
the boss
takes
is just
5 minutes,
slower.
and then the boss is
for no reason.
It's not slower if you get range melee, because you can absolutely dumpster it with a scythe.
Well, I don't mean slower as in like slower to kill. I mean slower as in cycling.
It develops really bad habits.
It does.
So that's why I just forget about entry mode, because again, I learned the Verzik walk before entry mode was even proposed. So like, that's just me being a bit of a boomer of like, oh, go do a fight caves run, because entry mode doesn't even cross.
That's why I figured I'd pipe in, because that's where I learned the walk was in entry mode, because they also made it so that you have unlimited revives.
Yeah, the unlimited wipes.
That's
is
a good
nice.
change. Yeah.
But they don't give you unlimited supplies.
They do now, actually. That is false.
Do they really?
How do you... if you wipe, your inventory is just refilled with as many supplies as you had to begin with.
No
the med packs.
Shot.
So you can just go forever, and you can just teach people. It's how I was taught to Verzik walk, and then we practiced P3 for a little bit, but they were like, yeah, P3 is not really worth practicing in entry modes, honestly. As long as you can get through P2, you can just learn P3 in the real raid. And if you die there, it's the mentality of like, well, we can clean it up. Don't worry about it.
in P3 all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to survive my first P3. Just again, I'm not trying to like contribute to the gatekeeping. This TOB is fun. Find good teachers who are going to complete the raid whether you live or die. That I think that is the key, because when you're with people who are confident, right? That it makes a world of difference. Because I know when I teach people content, if I have to be the carry and I'm going with 3 people who I'm not confident are going to survive, I'm going to be stressed as fuck, and I'm not going to be a good teacher.
Yeah,
if it's me and 2 of my other boys that we've been doing TOB with for like a year or so now, and we have a learner who's like, I really want to do well, we're going to be like, dude, no matter what you do, you're going to do great, baby girl. You got this, you know? Like that's fun for me. And then as a learner, it's also fun because like these other PVMers aren't shitting on you for making mistakes.
Like, oh my God, you're so bad. Why did you do that?
Yeah, they're not saying that to you. They're saying
that to each other, and they're probably still joking about it. They're probably like, "Dude, what the fuck?"
I think the person that criticized the most in learner raids is me.
Yeah.
I'll make a mistake and be like, I'm mad because bad.
Dude, I'm so garbage at this game. I say that all the fucking time.
I'll get hit at like Aka or something and say, man, I'm so shit at this game.
Wash, dude.
I know I'm not shit at the game. Like, I'm decent. And I don't remember who it was, but someone's like, oh man, don't beat yourself up over that. I'm like, no, I know I'm not actually bad. I'm just, venting because I fucked up a mechanic that I don't normally mess up.
Yeah, I was
for a while. For a while, I was really I don't know why. I had like a rut at Verzik where I was getting bounced like crazy, and I couldn't make webs for the life of me. And I think once a day I had heard like, oh yeah, definitely didn't buy his Infernal Cape. Sure. Yeah. Like that, like that came out quite a bit. There's nothing under there for you, Oxie. He's riding the Verzik Express. Give me a little bit of that. Vitusi is my personal favorite in P2, trying to get bounced. But yeah, it's.
Does it bother you when people make like the "you bought your Infernal Cape" jokes?
No, not at all. It's
okay.
As long as JMods don't take it seriously and take action without actually looking into my account. That's the one stipulation. If there's
no JMod will look at your attempts and be like, oh, that was a bot cape.
Dude, it took me 112 tries. If anyone's gonna buy a cape, it's a motherfucker who took 111 tries and said, fuck it, get me my credit card, I'm done with this.
I feel like the people that buy capes are those fuckers that see the Inferno and don't even attempt it. Yeah. They're just like, all right, well, I can never do that.
I think most of them don't even see the Inferno. They just hear that it's really hard and that like a lot of people struggle to complete it, and they're just like, I want +4 melee strength, and I want people to think that I did that. Credit card time.
Yeah, and that's probably a good percentage of the capes that are in the game right now. I've heard numbers that range from 40% to 80%.
That's insane.
Depending on who you talk to. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me when people tease me about buying an Infernal Cape for several reasons. Number one, I know JMods aren't going to one-tick ban my account because of a joke someone made in a chat of my podcast.
Yeah. They've got better things to do.
Exactly. Number one. Number two, I know I got it for real.
Yeah, I feel like that's the most important part.
It doesn't bother
accomplishing
me
it yourself.
At all. And then number three, if someone legitimately believes I purchased it, there's a video of me, a grown man, crying over a video game on the XPBase YouTube channel when I got my cape. So if you really need proof, the video's there. But I don't ever have to break that out. Normally it's just like, God damn it, I should have paid extra, like I just whatever, I'll just brush it off, So no, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I was very curious because I remember during Springo there were a lot of the Oxie paid for his Infernal Cape memes, and I literally knew nothing about anybody in that server, and I was like,
I didn't know anything about the lore.
I didn't know
Oxie
the lore.
Infernal Cape going in.
And I was like,
yeah.
Is this a joke? Did he actually? I didn't even know you were on. I didn't know you were the co-host of the XP Waste podcast that time. So I was just like, who is Oxie and why did he buy his Infernal Cape?
This guy so much?
I was so confused.
Yeah, I think it's one of the episodes at like the end of 2022. The cold opener for that's one of the favorite things I've made.
Mhm.
That's a favorite of mine. Of all the projects I've done for the show, the cold opener for the Infernal Cape was pretty good. I've had
It's
some other cool
definitely-
projects. The Springo trailer was cool. The IRL interviews at XPOA South was cool.
Mhm.
But that was as a favorite for sure.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't hit as hard when you're primarily an audio only listener. But I did go back and watch it, and it was like it's a good opener.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people said, which is why I'm like, yeah, damn, that's good. Because when the Spotify only no video, like adamantly, I don't watch podcast video people, went to YouTube and were like, dude, I had to go to YouTube to watch that intro. That just felt good,
Yeah. I mean, it just, my podcast mentality is podcasts are an audio medium. It is how I enjoy them. And I don't know. I get the appeal of having video for a podcast, but like even video podcasts, like I'll just have on my other monitor and I'll very rarely actually even look at them.
Yeah, and I mean, you're not the only one. Like, it's not. I don't know if you're trying to justify why you don't watch the XP Waste video, and if you are, don't worry about it, brother. It's not.
I'm also trying to justify why we don't make video.
I mean,
I can justify that pretty easy. I'm lazy as fuck.
So
I have no shame in that.
I can assure you that you guys probably have a very similar trend to what we do, where YouTube right now is a fraction of what you're pulling on primarily Spotify, a little bit of Apple Music, maybe a Google podcast here and there, but primarily Spotify is where you pull most of your viewers from. No? Do you distribute through Spotify for podcasters?
Yeah, we do.
Then almost surely Spotify is your
80% Spotify, 14.5% Apple Podcasts, 3% Pocket Casts, and 2.4% other.
All right, cool. So the one weirdo who's on Pocket Cast, you got to explain your reasoning. Everyone else...
Wait, hold on. I'm a Pocket Cast stan, okay? That's where I listen to XP Waste. That's where I listen to everything.
All right, cool. So explain your reasoning.
Yeah. You heard the man. Go ahead.
Before Spotify started baking in ads into the feed, it was ad-free. It's mostly the reason. I like the layout as well.
I was going to say, yeah, who would do that? Put monetization in the middle of their podcast episodes.
God, who would do that? That'd be insane. Shout out to the $5.60 we have on our account.
That will grow with time. The more you get like the sponsored.
Oh, sorry, $6.
They're not even like the Anchor ads anymore. They're the like Spotify for podcasters ads or whatever they are.
This is the first I'm hearing that there's money in that account at all, because I think the
Trust
last
me,
time
it's when it comes from ad revenue, it's not a lot of money.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
I'm not here for the fucking money, dude. The last time I had heard of it, it was like 4 cents. So the fact that it's $6 is like, no, that's kind of funny.
Sheesh, you guys are cruising.
I mean, but... $3 of those dollars are yours when we get the big payout.
I don't give a shit.
No, and I think as far as like the video podcasts are concerned, some people there is a decently large contingent of people who don't have Spotify Premium or don't pay for Apple Music, but have YouTube. And I know for XP Waste we have pre-roll, we have end roll, and we have one mid-roll ad that every week, at least for the even numbered episodes. Because I don't know where Michael puts them for the odd numbered episodes, and that's gonna come as a bit of a controversial take. I don't listen to every episode we release of XP Waste because I'm there when we record it.
I don't think, other than editing the podcast episodes, I've ever listened back to them ever.
Yeah, I think that's been my issue. It's like I spend so much time editing that I'm just
I literally edit every single one, so I hear it already. Like, I don't need to go back and listen to it again. Although I will say I did actually listen to the episode with Life, just like at work. I was just like, all right, I'm gonna throw this on because I wanted to hear that conversation again.
If I really like a topic we talked about, like when we talked about like overrated gear upgrades, or we talked about like how to prep for TOA. If I didn't edit, I'll go ahead and listen to it just because like I like this topic quite a bit, you know, and I want to hear it. I want to hear it a second time, you know.
So nice. I heard it twice.
Exactly. So I'll occasionally go back and listen then, but as far as video people are concerned, I don't think a whole lot of people care, because even the people who are YouTube stands for XP waste, you know, shout out to Jordy, for example. You know, he's a long time XP waste YouTube stan. That man is always doing something else while watching us on YouTube. I don't think he ever... There have been a few times where he and a few other people have like thrown XP waste up on their TVs for the laughs, right? But most of the time when we see people watching on YouTube, when they send screenshots and they're like, oh yeah, a new episode's out, one window is XP waste, the other window is RuneScape or a Twitch stream or work or something. Or we get picture in a picture of XP waste up in the corner and RuneScape being played on mobile. So like, even for the video people, it's still just like a passive thing. You know, it's just they like the YouTube platform a little bit better. But because they prefer YouTube, there's a weird disconnect when there's nothing to look at. You know, even like I watch video essays sometimes, and I don't watch them. I listen to them that as well. Pretty much because I'm playing RuneScape on my other monitor. You know, Josh Strife Hayes, the MMO guy,
love that.
His worst MMO ever series is awesome. Yep. I couldn't tell you for the life of me what any of those MMOs look like.
I mean, because that one doesn't matter a whole time either, because he's usually not like sure, he's showing gameplay, but it's usually not gameplay in the particular context of what he's talking about. He's usually just kind of talking, and he has essentially just B-roll of the game.
Right, yeah, well, this is going to my bookmarks.
I like that format a lot, right? And video podcasts scratch that itch for a lot of people, you know?
Yeah.
As you've said earlier, that particular turn of phrase, you know, it helps people have something on in the background that's mindless while they do what they're doing primarily, which I would imagine for your audience, much like my audience, is RuneScape.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you know, let's not beat around the bush. It's basically the same audience.
I mean, you could argue that for a lot of pieces of RuneScape content too. Like if you get broad enough with it, technically XP Waste and fucking Settled have the exact same audience. It's just
that's fair. Yeah,
you know, it's
there's only so many people that are interested in old school RuneScape.
But interestingly enough, RuneScape players, with you being one of the few exceptions, Bird, would you play RuneScape? All you want to do is watch RuneScape stuff.
Yeah, I fucking
like
can't
so weird.
do that.
Like I'm guilty of it myself, but I'm also guilty of it with other games I play. Like if I'm playing Ark for a long time, because I'll occasionally get like the Ark bug and I'll play Ark for a day, a week, a month, however long. I won't watch shit for RuneScape YouTube. I'll be so behind on what I'm trying to watch because I just spent the last month watching an Ark YouTuber do a whole playthrough, and it's 40 episodes and every episode's half an hour. Right?
Yeah, like I was really into Noida for a hot minute. I don't know if you've ever played that game or seen it.
No, is it an abbreviation or?
Yeah, it's just called
it's a.
You know, Shadow Wizard Money Gang. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's basically Noida. Except without the Money Gang part. It's just Shadow Wizard.
Do you know like those like sand physics games that we played as kids on like the school computers because they weren't blocked on
like
the
Line
internet?
Rider and shit?
No, it was like particle physics, like, you know, you could drop like sand or like TNT and it was like little pixels that would represent them.
You know that sounds fun as fuck. You gotta send me some links to these games.
Yeah, 1 second.
I'm a grown ass man. I want to play some of these fucking games. It sounds fun as hell.
Yeah.
Sand physics?
1 second. All right, here you go.
There's an image of Noida. There's like it's a game where you're a Shadow Wizard Money Gang member, and
bro, no shot. You just fill up there's fire.
Yeah, so it's basically the primary goal of the game. Just as a game is that they just wanted to make a simulation engine, and then they also made a game out of it. But there's gases and water, and there's, different types of material. There's sand, and it's all about like every single pixel in the game is an object that has some kind of physics, and that's like the gimmick.
This is the coolest thing I think I have ever seen.
You've never played one of these games?
I have never played. There's a fucking C4 option. Everything can explode. Oh my god. This is wild.
Yeah, so imagine that, but you're also Shadow Wizard Money Gang.
Yeah, that's what Noida is. I dumped like 100 hours or something into it in a decently short time period, and all I wanted to do was just watch Noida content during that time. Every time I get into a game, that's all I want to do is just watch that game's content. Back when I was burned last time, me and Bird played a lot of Apex, and I just watched a lot of Apex content.
Yeah, I'm usually not that way. I guess I am weird. When I play games, I just want to play them. And that's often why I don't AFK RuneScape on the side of playing another game. I am the opposite of like the ADHD have to have a bunch of things going on. I am like, this is the thing I am doing right now. That is it. That is all. Like, I play a lot of Destiny, and I can't play RuneScape on the side. I just can't. I have to close it, because I'll look over, and I've been idling for like 15 minutes at like next to a tree because I was like, oh yeah, I can just do forestry while I'm playing Destiny 2. Nope. Can't do that. I don't know, whatever thing I'm doing, I usually get way too engrossed in. So, and then also, like, as far as content goes, like, I think the prime example is when I'm playing leagues in RuneScape when those come out. Every content creator is making league content. I fucking despise that. I don't give a shit about what the fuck you're doing on leagues. I'm gonna be honest.
There are some content creators when they make leagues videos, really, it's real good stuff.
I have never watched
Angus Leagues videos. Oh, those are good.
When I am involving myself in leagues, maybe it's because I'm like kind of tryharding a little bit and trying to get like the higher cups. I want to see if I can get Dragon Cup next league, because I've gotten a Rune Cup every league I've participated in.
I think they're making it easier for the next league.
Cool, then I'll probably get it. But it's just like I'm going so hard myself, and especially during like Trailblazer, when there was like a very strict meta, I'd see all the content creators that were like just playing the meta. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Because I picked like weird regions, and like I didn't pick the main artifacts that are, or the whatever the fuck relics that everybody used.
Okay, so copium.
And well, listen, buddy, I still got a rune cup. Right?
Okay, sounds like all right. Hear me out. This guy didn't pick.
I did not pick.
What was it called?
I did not pick Total Recall. I picked Eternal Jeweler, and I did not pick.
You didn't pick Last Recall, and you didn't pick the Slay. You picked the Clue Scroll one, not
correct.
the Choose Your Slayer task one. It's sweet.
Because
so, I'm sorry you had a bad time in Trailblazer League.
It was actually the greatest time of my life. I really enjoyed it. I was rank 1 all clues for half of leagues, I believe, and then I just gave up because it was just an eternal battle of like trying to be rank 1 all clues. I was like, fuck this. This is boring. I want to do something else.
And I know leagues can be rough like that. I remember Trailblazer like wanting to be like, oh, what if I picked Mistalin, Karamja, Kandarin, Wilderness, Tiranwin.
Yeah, there was a lot of like possibilities.
Or Asgarnio,
like,
Wilderness, Tiranwin. Like I really want to do like a range build.
Yeah.
Like that could be super, super fun. But I don't know. I was so invested trying to get Rune Cup, and I feel like I barely made it, skin of my teeth at the end. Shattered Relics, I didn't have that much of a problem.
Yeah, I think Shattered Relics, despite all its flaws, was still really fun because it didn't like... Trailblazer was cool because you had to do like the very specific, pick your route and stick with it. There's a lot of planning involved. And Shattered Relics, I think a lot of people didn't like it because it was less like that, but also because of that, you could just kind of do everything in the game. And I kind of liked that.
I liked it, and I have my fair share of
the relic
praises and
system
critiques
was
about
annoying.
It was just clunky. That was the problem.
It was adding an unequip all button like a couple weeks in was kind of telling of that, where it was just clunky. They needed to patch in features to make it less clunky.
So I didn't hate that mechanic. I hated the UI and I hated how they implemented it, but I didn't hate the mechanic.
The mechanic was a great idea, but the UI wasn't wonderful.
And I think the problem that I had with Shattered Relics, the primary problem was that it was too long.
Yeah, that was also a problem. I agree.
The extension of the league, it became far too long, and I got sick of playing it. But I think the problem with not region locking things or not keeping things locked for an extended period of time, it just turns into fast Iron Man mode within the second week.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are like, Iron Man mode is great. Okay, sure. But after a while, it's still Iron Man.
Fast
You're
Iron Man,
still killing
Fast Iron Man is
600
fun,
corrupted
right?
gauntlet.
Yeah, but
there's
nothing
only
unique about it as well. Like
exactly, and that's
the unique
it's
parts
only fun for a little bit.
Were the relics, and while they were cool, a lot of them weren't like game changers. They weren't like crazy. Some of them were really good.
Well, I mean, Absolute Unit was pretty
funny and fun.
Absolute Unit was pretty fun,
but I don't know. I felt like a lot of times there were definitely some different strategies, but at the end of the day, I felt like I was just like, oh, I'm going to go do this part of the progression that I do on an Iron Man. But
that felt like the problem. The strategy was just the strategy stopped once everything was unlocked.
Yeah.
Once we got that renown stimmy and everything got unlocked in a day, like that was just rough. Like I think I unlocked all the skills and a lot of the bosses before the renown stimmy.
I forgot about that.
And all the stuff I had left was like the 100 Sages Renown like raids and shit, and like there was actually a plan of like, oh, we're going to save up for this and we're going to use these weapons from Tob to go to Chambers, and we're going to take these weapons from Chambers and go to Next. Like it's going to be so cool. And then everything was done.
Yeah.
So it was like,
I forgot that they did that. Because I distinctly remember that I was like, I was getting ready. I had all the quests done because I was fucking insane, and I actually didn't unlock any of the quests. I did them all myself because I'm fucking weird. But I had all these points, and I was like, I had a fair amount because I did all the quests, and I was like, okay, now I have all the skills, and I'm going to start unlocking these bosses. And then they did the thing where you got more of those points, and suddenly I had everything unlocked. And it was like, well, that kind of killed it.
It was another flaw of like, not everything was unlockable. Like they had quest lines be finishable, but individual quests were not. I remember my biggest gripe was like, I can buy Song of the Elves, but not rat catchers. What the fuck is this? I was like mega pissed off about that for like a day, because the renown system was a good idea, because I think it helps in that like you don't have to get a Penance Queen kill for the Kandran Hard Diary. You don't have to get Bones to Peaches when you can unlock diaries. But I think there has to be some sort of other type of restriction, and it has to be shorter for that to be fun.
Yeah.
Because once you unlock everything and all the diaries, all the quests, all the bosses, all the skills, there's nothing left to work for other than raw points and items. And that can just feel real bad.
Yeah. And I think the other part of the problem was just that because of how much more renown they gave you after the change, it didn't feel rewarding to have like everything unlocked. It was just like, well, now I have it. I was basically just given it.
Yup. It felt bad. I hope for the next league they do something a little bit different, but it's the same question I had at the end of leagues 2 that I have now is how are they going to top what they did?
What's the next unique crazy thing that they're going to do?
And before anyone has the audacity to say Group Iron Man League,
fuck that.
That's horrible.
As a group Iron Man, that's so
idea.
dumb. That's so fucking stupid.
Because you're going to sign up with all your friends. You're going to have fun for 4 days. They're all going to quit. And then you're going to have to raw dog a league based for groups by yourself for the next 6
even
weeks.
If that's a thing, right? I think a large portion of RuneScape players just don't really play with anybody else. And that's just kind of leaving them out.
Yeah, it's like I'm guilty of that myself. Like I will talk to people, but I'll do solo content.
And like a lot of people just don't want to engage with being like required to be a part of a group. And that's fine. And we shouldn't That's most people. Like, even just from a business perspective, it would be a bad business decision to force a group Iron Man league because a lot of people just wouldn't care. It would just be an immediate turnoff.
Yeah, I don't. That's not the move. I don't know how they're going to top it. I think
it's worth talking about Dead Man Reborn because
I don't know anything about.
There's some
Reborn.
Interesting shit they're doing.
I have not read a single.
Yeah, it's like
there's
bosses randomly
they're pulling out
spawning
some,
around.
they're pulling out some fucking wacky shit, right? So with Dead Man Reborn, they're making it so.
Should we wait before we get on this? Should we maybe go to break
I
first?
Yeah,
I didn't realize y'all did a break when we're 3 hours in. I thought we were just gonna keep going.
We usually do a break
break
like an hour or two in, but we've just kind of been talking because average group.
I blame the co-host for or not the co-host, the guest for derailing everything.
Pretty average, honestly.
That's fine.
Well, like 2.5 hours in, I'm like, we should probably maybe go to a break, and then we just like
we can
break
here
for it,
and then
so
we can come back
and
we can talk about like the new shit that's coming to the game and probably end up tangenting to something else stupid. And then eventually we fucking leave.
Off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna cut us off before 4 hours. Not that I have to go to bed, because I'm not gonna be. I'm not gonna be responsible for letting you guys get a 4-hour episode before I have a 4-hour episode. So 3:59, this shit's over. I'm telling you guys right now.
I bet. Yeah, I don't think there's a whole ton more to talk about anyways. We can talk about the new stuff, but there's not a ton of new stuff. I think it's worth talking about Dead Man Reborn. But
slow your roll there. Yeah. The summer summit's coming up. There's a lot of shit we could talk about.
True, I guess.
So we could speculate for a while. That's all I'm saying.
We can make this a 5-hour episode.
We don't do a ton of like speculative content on this podcast. It's usually here's what we've been told. Maybe a little bit of speculation based on that. We don't know shit about what's coming in Summer Summit, so there's nothing to even like hold on to.
Y'all invited that wrong motherfucker, because I will speculate and be wrong about everything. I don't care. I love speculating about this.
Well, then perhaps we can do a little bit of that too. But I need to piss, so I'm leaving.
I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay, well. Wait, we do a thing before we go to break.
Yeah. Our fake ass
we have sponsors.
I mean, definitely real sponsors.
Fake sponsors. Because this week's episode was sponsored by Fragments of Saren. Crush that shit up and snort it.
This week's episode is also sponsored by the person that is currently knocking on my door. I don't know who it is, but I'm going to go talk to him, and they're legally obliged to sponsor this episode.
Okay.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, leave the recording going.
Yeah. This week's episode is sponsored by the 5,000 abyssal demons that generously gave their heads for me to train my prayer. Best head I've ever received in my entire life.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the break.
Dead Man Reborn.
What the fuck were we talking about before?
Apocalypse. It was Reborn.
Dead Man. Fuck. Yeah. Gonna really point out that mistake in the editing. I don't know how I'll do that.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, the Dead Man Apocalypse stuff. I still probably won't
either.
Play it, but
just the kind of wacky direction they're taking it is very interesting. Notice
I'll play it for the first day to swap some gold over, but like why?
That was kind of my thought, is like maybe I play and like gold swap, but I play an Iron Man now. Like split.
You gotta get
money,
lucky in
I
like
guess.
the first 6 hours.
Yeah, like I don't know if I care.
That's how it works.
The thing that also is important about like swapping gold is they said that like allowed. It's totally okay this time around.
Last time as well.
Where before, I think it was they just didn't say anything about it last time.
You gotta try to go through like reputable sources, you know.
You gotta find the right people.
Yeah.
Jagex doesn't provide a service for it; they just allow people to do that. And if you get scammed, that's your own fault.
Yeah,
it's not their problem.
But like, frankly, I'll be doing the selling for the swapping. So this is not an invitation, but like if I get a VLS on the first day from like a Wilderness Slayer task and I try to sell it for 50, 60, 100 mil and the person trades, or I give the VLS and then I get no money back or whatever the trade deal is, fucking, I'm not going to be that broken up about it. Cause like I didn't lose. It's not like I got scammed for anything on my main account. Like I didn't lose anything of substance, you know?
Just didn't gain some money that you would have gained otherwise. It kind of sucks, but oh well.
Yeah, I can see that like disconnect being there, making it feel less bad, but I don't know. I still view it as losing, however much money on the main. But I'm very much a one account kind of mindset guy. So maybe that has to do with it. I don't know why I opened the blog for Dead Man Apocalypse and then proceeded to just close it. As if I would learn everything through osmosis and not need it again.
Guys, we got it. Let's go.
Yeah, they're bringing back the sigils and stuff, which people seem to have really enjoyed, and brings in the more casual people as well.
It's the same deal with leagues, where it makes the game fundamentally different and makes it more attractive to play. However, they are doing some more crazy shit. Not crazy shit, first of all, but is notably important. 1v1s, the big 2,048 people going into the 1v1s bracket at the end, not a thing this year. They're not doing that. I wonder why.
They realized it's not an esport.
I don't think they realized that. That's what they're saying, but I think they realized that they're going to get DDoSed no matter what, and they don't want to put up with it. Maybe a bit of a cynical take, but I think that that's the real reason.
Yeah, that's fair. I can understand that. I feel like that's why we haven't had a dead man in so long.
The counter argument to that is, DDoS. Even without a 1v1 finale, they're still doing the fog thing where it's just whoever
the
survives
fog closes
last.
In. This actually okay. This sounds pretty alright. Breaches will open, which will spawn a bunch of bosses.
This is the wacky part: is the breaches open and a shit ton of just random fucking bosses appear. Kind of cool, kind of interesting. It's a wacky concept. I like it.
I've heard some mixed feedback about the breaches being announced in a global chat. I think it was Foe was talking about wanting the breaches just to be things that spawn, but you don't necessarily know where they are.
Either way it goes, I feel like it's still just going to become Clan Man mode. It doesn't matter.
That's
it really doesn't matter if it's announced or not. As soon as someone that's in a clan discovers a breach via either it being announced globally or finding a player at it or finding it themselves, it's Jover.
Yeah.
Well. Yeah, but I mean, at least if they're not announced, then the little guy has a fighting chance to get it to himself. At least for a bit.
I feel like it's going to become a Arceus library situation where someone's going to figure out the spawning algorithms for these things, and some clan is going to lock it down because they know that.
That would.
I feel like that's inevitable, though. Perhaps because it has a short runtime, maybe not. But
I don't think
there's people out there that are going to be absolutely fucking crunching the data to figure out the algorithm as quickly as possible. Those people exist. They're out there. And as soon as they figure it out, it's over, man.
I don't know, dude. It took us over a year to figure out Crack the Clue 3.
Yeah, but that's intentionally cryptic, right? The whole point of that was to just be a fucking insane mess where you need to have 28 specific items in specific locations of your inventory, right? The whole point was to be as obscure as fuck.
Yeah.
The breaches...
Yeah, I feel like the spawning algorithm
it remains to be seen, right? But, with the way that this works, maybe I'm underestimating the fact that they actually have an engine team now, but I feel like it's just because of the fact that it is such a larger undertaking here. And just kind of from a balancing perspective, they're going to have to like pick certain locations for these to be able to spawn, and some kind of algorithm will probably exist in order for it to be fair, because if they keep if like it's all up to RNG and it just spawns one in the same location a bunch of times, that's boring. So there's probably something going on there, and maybe somebody's going to figure it out.
Every unsafe tile has the potential to spawn a boss at a 1 in 1,000 chance once every hour. And then no one can figure out what tile it is exactly or where they will be spread. So, for example, all 4 original God Wars dungeon bosses could spawn in Mauritania, the Wilderness, Port Sarim, and in Hosidius, all simultaneously. Or they could all spawn on the 4 tiles in front of the fucking Tree Gnome Stronghold. All at the same time. That would be wild.
Would definitely...
The engine would explode, but that would be an absolutely insane way to make sure that people didn't lock it down.
That's kind of... Is that just you coming up with bullshit?
Clearly they have like some...
Oh yeah, I'm just making shit up. I can throw shit at the wall and see what sticks all day.
Because I've been reading through the blog as we've been talking, trying to see if they have like any information about how it works, and I'm not seeing it. So, which makes sense. They wouldn't want to disclose that.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not something they'd want to...
But I was just looking through to see if I'm like talking out of my ass that, nobody's figured it out or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. The reason I wanted to talk about this was just because we were talking about how I don't know how they're going to step it up for the next leagues. And the breaches mechanic is fucking wild, Like, they keep pulling this wacky shit out of their asses. And I have faith that they'll probably do something weird, wacky, woohoo for the next league as well. I don't know what it is.
As fun as it would be, I think the thing they would struggle with is your account can't get loot because another player damaged it because you're an Iron Man.
I mean,
like,
just deal the most damage.
That's going to be the issue with stuff like that. And I think it could be a lot of fun if, like, they do a lot more, if they do a lot more of like a linear choose your own adventure, but if you choose option A, option B is gone forever, because then you still have the chance, if you don't pick the Asgarnia region, for example, like in Trailblazer, if General Gardor spawns right in front of you with a boosted drop rate of stuff, right? If a Gardor spawns, but the drop rate for Tassets is 1 in 5, that's crazy.
Yeah, like I wouldn't expect the breaches system to be like exactly just 1 for 1. This is the league. I wouldn't expect the breaches system to even be in the next league. But I think it's kind of it's a good example of just like some wacky shit that they're pulling out of their back pocket and just being like, yep, this is how we're making it different. And I appreciate that it is just kind of that wild and unhinged. They're just like, yeah, we're just going to spawn a bunch of bosses. And it could be just like a bunch of the same one. We don't care. Fuck it.
Have you guys ever seen the old footage of what the old PvE clans used to be able to do?
Oh, no. I thought you were going to talk about something else.
There's old footage of almost like a wave-based combat that certain PVM clans had access to. It's like upstairs in the man house in Edgeville or something like that.
Oh, yeah. That was for one of the events they did
but
a
it was
back.
like 2014, a while back. It was a long time ago. It would be like
years before
Jad,
I even started
Bandos,
playing.
and Venenatis would all pop up at the same time, and you and your clan would have to kill all these monsters. And it was truly just like, who can survive the longest through the waves, like high scores, bosses spawn constantly. That would be so fun to bring back.
I'm amazed they never made that like a piece of content you could do.
I
Like
feel
Nightmare Zone kind of, but not really.
Giving some wacky shit like that, and Nightmare Zone's kind of mid.
Yeah.
Well, Nightmare Zone just doesn't have good loot.
Yeah, so
if Nightmare Zone, if Nightmare Zone had the loot table of every boss in the game at a 1 in 1,000 drop rate, that'd be fucked.
I suppose that's true.
You know?
But also, like, there is no high scores for, Nightmare Zone. There's like a million different modes you can play, so it would be unreasonable for them to create high scores.
Yeah.
And it isn't even the Rumble
they
mode.
could just make a ranked Nightmare Zone.
Yeah, I wouldn't want them to. I'd prefer it, honestly.
The problem with ranked Nightmare Zone is it's the first person to get a 6-hour log.
Yeah.
Is the person who's in there the longest. They set the record. And then
they'd have to, in order to make it interesting, they'd have to drastically rework the way the Nightmare Zone points function. They'd have to like make it so that like, because there's a weird system where if you like turn on if you turn off all of the bosses from one quest and on all the bosses from another, you get more points, because if you mix them, you get less points or something. I don't remember exactly, but there's a bunch of weird caveats to the way Nightmare Zone points work, and so there's like metas of certain bosses,
too.
Whereas the kind of shit we're talking about is just like just fucking chaos, any boss fucking ever. So,
which would be kind of sick.
It would be kind of cool, but it's very private server energy,
It does
server energy. Yeah, I kind of like that.
Yeah, like I'm kind of down for some of that shit. Like there's a reason people created those private servers and just did wacky shit, because it was fun. They thought it was fun.
No, did you ever play on a private server?
I watched a lot of videos back in the day of private servers, but I was terrified of the security implications of private servers.
Yup.
That's fair. Yeah, I never made an account on one, but my identical twin brother did. So, I logged on his account on this one that he was playing on, and just like rocked up to Edgeville, went to a chest and just had like full Bandos in an AGS, and just like went around killing just random people in like a PvP area nearby. And it was weird, and it definitely gave private server energy. Because you could just type in commands and like teleport around, and there was like a bunch of weird items for like doing admin stuff, and everyone just had access to it. But Nightmare Zone currently in game gives off private server vibes, and I don't think they're ever going to address that. It
exists now. It's just there.
Like, I wish they would just do something with it. It's so ugly. It just feels out of place.
Melee XP in the game for no reason.
Like, people. Yeah, you had to go there to imbue your rings and your Slayer helm and your salve for some reason.
But guys, we made other ways of imbuing them.
I think the issue
they're
was
just like worse than doing Nightmare Zone.
It's a crossover from RS3. I'm pretty sure RS3 has something super similar.
I'm surprised.
I believe it's called the Dominion Tower, hence why the guy outside is called Dominic Onion. It's an homage to the Dominion Tower or Dominion Fortress or whatever it's called in RS3 that is pretty much the exact same thing. You kill quest bosses and you get points for it.
Yeah, because the other reason that
Interesting.
Nightmare Zone even exists in the first place is because people wanted a way to re-fight quest bosses. And so that was part of their solution to that at the time. Nowadays, their solution is quest speedrunning, but also not a perfect solution.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, obviously Nightmare Zone came out at a time where the dev tools were really limited.
And the mindset of the developers was also significantly
which is why,
different back then.
Yeah.
Because...
I mean, they had to nerf Nightmare Zone many times over when it came out.
The Stronghold Slayer Cave. It used to be massive and have like everything in it because they weren't sure how long Old School was going to survive. A lot of them were under the assumption that it was going to be like a couple years nostalgia trip and then everybody would stop caring and they'd just leave. So they just kind of added wild shit to the game just because. So, but now the game exists in a more permanent state, which is probably better. I think we get better content because of that.
Aye. Here's to the permanence of Old School RuneScape.
I wouldn't be surprised if this shit is still going by the time I die. It'll be way different by then.
Taxes, and Old School RuneScape.
Hell yeah. I don't really have much more to say about Dead Man Apocalypse. I probably won't play it. I just thought it was interesting, and I think it's a great example of them being a little bit more wacky and creative with making game modes different.
Yeah,
I think they still have it in them to make like weird shit, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely cool. I didn't even bother to read it because I literally saw Deadman Apocalypse and thought like, oh, cool. Another event that's going to get DDoSed, and Jagex is going to go, what do you mean hackers attacked it? And then they're going to not do Deadman for 2 years.
Yeah.
But
it was kind of cool to see it coming back as well. I was just like, oh, after the DDoS attack, they're still doing it. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm happy for the people that enjoy Deadman. I don't care, though. But then I read it a little bit. I was like, oh, they're doing wacky shit. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, can't say that I do. Gotta be honest. Can't say that I do care a ton about Deadman mode, but
something I do care about is Desert Treasure 2. We've already kind of talked about it, but that is something else that was announced this week. Is the actual concrete in-stone release date. It's coming, not next week, but the week after.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's gonna be cracked.
We kind of already know everything that's going to be a reward from it, so there's not really much to talk about, but
now is the time to buy shit. Like, today, you're approaching the last date. Things are only, PVM item-wise,
they're
right?
only going up.
They're only going to get more expensive until a meta is established. So, if you want to have a T-bow for the new bosses, boo-hoo, the T-bow is 1.4 bill. Buy a T-bow now, because if the T-bow is the meta, it's going to shoot up even higher. Same thing with the Shadow, same thing with Void Waker, same thing with ZCB. They're going to go up in price for that first week or so of release. Everything is going to go up in price until we establish what's good and what's shit. The items that turn out to be shit are the items that people are going to sell to buy the better items. You're going to see your bank values fluctuate. Unless you're going to do a rebuild now, hold on to your stuff or you're probably going to get merged.
100%.
Don't sell your Fangs. Don't sell your Zenites. Don't sell your Tridents and shit. Like, don't sell your Bofa if you don't have a T-bow. Like, I don't know. But if you're going to buy a big purchase, you're going to do a rebuild, do it now.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you hear this part of the episode, go buy whatever big ticket.
By the time this episode is coming out, we're really in it at that point.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give one caveat to that. I think I mean don't take merching advice from this podcast, but I think the Scythe, if it ends up not being good at the West, is gonna absolutely crash. Because word on the street is there's a ton of merching clans that have been buying like bills worth of scythes to like dump right when the quest drops.
I would believe it. I would believe it. I mean,
and if they disappoint the scythe havers again, then those prices are going to fall to the fucking.
If you have
be a great time to pick up a scythe if that happens, though.
It'd be a great time to buy one if it does happen. If you have one and you see the bank value go down, don't bitch and moan about the price of the scythe in your bank going down, because if you sell that thing in a panic because, oh, my bank value is falling, you aren't. Tob is going to be a nightmare. Nightmare is going to be a nightmare unless you have an Inquisitor's Mace. But why you have an Inquisitor's Mace and not a scythe?
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
Or why you have an Inquisitor's Mace and a scythe and choose to sell the scythe first is beyond me, right? If I was a betting man, I would think the 4 styles these bosses are weak to are Slash, Crush, Ranged, and Magic. Few little points. Crush boss kind of would suck to see just Inquisitor be best in slot again. But what they could do is make the boss hit like a fucking truck. So Justy door tack is the way to kill
funny.
It. That would be cool as hell. That'd be funny as hell. That'd be cool. Give that the slash bonus ring or whatever, because nobody cares about that.
Yeah.
Altor ring, scythe. Hopefully, I know realistically it's going to be reversed. Altor ring is probably, or the slash ring is probably going to come from the slash boss. Scythe's going to be best in slot. Magic, it's going to be the shadow. Range is where we get into the difficult part, because
what's its magic
level? Well, exactly. If the magic level is too high, T-bow. If the magic level is too low, Shadow. there's like a sweet spot with the T-Bow's range where it's like 150 or 100 magic level or some level of magic where the T-Bow still hits like garbage, but the shadow is going to be outclassed by other range weapons for a boss that's weak to range. Would be my guess. They have to find that sweet spot. And if they don't, the range boss is either going to be T-Bow or shadow. Hopefully it's Venator Bow too. Hopefully Venator Bow plays a part. So if you don't have the money to buy these big ticket items, do Muspa. Just like suck it up, channel your inner Doc, and do Muspa for the next week or so, 2 weeks, however long we have before the quest comes out. Because if it does require,
can't believe he finished Muspa.
I was pissed. I was in VC with him, and I was like, all right, guys, I'm going to bed. I got to work tomorrow. And I looked at the timestamp of the pet. It was like 30 seconds after I went to bed.
It was right after you left.
Yeah, sucked. But if the Venator Bow is useful, which I'm going to be shocked that it's not, if it's not, right? Like, surely, right?
If they don't make it useful, it justifies my voting no on content that has no use yet.
True.
I think that's a bad
I
mentality
agree,
to have.
but I recognize why you get some brownie points for that one if Venator Bow isn't useful.
And because I remember we were you Sparry had mentioned to me that like Michael voted no to the Soul Reaper axe because he didn't see where it was used. The difference there is that Soul Reaper axe actually has a use. It is, I think it is better than Blade of Saildor at Tob, for example. Like it has.
Well, now that we know it's 5-tick, that is 5-tick's pretty tolerable.
Yeah, it's like it's usable.
Yeah, when you guys were talking about it, you guys didn't know the
I was
attack
concerned
speed.
it was going to be like a 7-tick weapon like Derek's Great Axe or something.
I was thinking maximum 6-tick.
no,
I did not believe
5-tick.
for a second there was a way they'd make it 7.
Frankly, I think it could be really cool to see what the Soul Reaper axe will do to one of these bosses.
Yeah, that's true too.
Like if, for example, they have like if one of the bosses has like almost like a Wintertodt based percentage life steal, where the higher your HP, the more damage it does, or the higher your HP, the more it heals itself, where you want to have the Soul Reaper take some of that health down.
That could be interesting, yeah.
So I think that could be a cool use case for it, but do Muspa, because even if Venator Bow isn't useful, people are going to think it's useful. So,
and if people don't think it's useful, Muspa's got a money table. You'll make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Muspa is Vorkath, but also has like uniques that are worth something.
According to Arcane, the gems are not detachable. So once you get one of the 4 gems for the ancient icon, you need to get 4 ancient scepters or ancient icons or whatever they are.
This is news to me.
We got to get the Muspa train rolling because I only have 1 ancient scepter and I got to get 3 more.
I have 1 ancient scepter and 2 extra icons. I haven't gotten extra ancient staves.
Right, because you have to. You
fucking
have to
I
get
thought they were going to be
Vedion or some shit like that. Yeah. But.
Oh god.
Yeah. So.
I thought they were going to be replaceable, like the Toa gems.
Realistically, the only ones that matter are probably like the blood and ice ones, and maybe the shadow one. Maybe. And the smoke one might see use in like PKing if it has the less eat on food or the less health from eating shit.
But it's not like it's a risk item. Like if these gems were tradable, I would get it a lot more. But like, I have no incentive to PK with this because if someone goes up against me with it, I'm not going to get it from them unless it drops as like a cash stack, like Barrow's gloves do or something.
Which would make sense, but
it'll probably drop as cash.
We'll see. Remains to be seen.
No way, it's not like at least a couple $100K. In GP,
it also, however, feels like something that they might overlook because it kind of feels like something where this is a PVM update, and because the prayer book is out of the question, they kind of probably aren't thinking as much about PvP implications anymore. And even with the prayer book, I don't think they were thinking that much about the PvP implications.
I mean, Desert Treasure has always been like a big thing for like PvP stuff.
I guess,
so
but I don't know. It feels like something that could have been easily overlooked.
I hope not. I have a little bit more faith in Jagex.
It'd be the first time they overlooked PvP when making an update that could theoretically significantly impact it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Remains to be seen.
If you have the money, buy your upgrades.
Yeah, get them now.
If you don't have the money, kill Muspa. Kill Muspa anyway, because you need it for the scepter pieces. And if you get Venator shards, they're gonna. I think Venator is gonna climb until day of, and then we'll see its fate. Yeah. If in the first 6 hours Venator is not meta, it's going right back in the shitter. If it's useful at the range boss in particular, oh baby, that bitch is going up. So.
Yeah, I mean the Venator bow has been like pretty steady at 40-ish mil.
I think it recently started going up. It's like 8 mil per piece now, I think, right?
Yeah, 7.8. Maybe the bow itself isn't then reflecting, because what is that times 5? 7.8 times 5 is that's about about 40 mil. But yeah, I definitely could see it crashing like another 10 mil down if it's not good. But I think it's definitely worth at least 30 mil for its Slayer uses. It's very convenient for doing all those tasks.
They made the mistake of nerfing the Alk price. The Alk price used to be a mil, and it would have guaranteed value for Muspa forever.
Yeah.
But they nerfed it.
I don't know why they did that.
Alk prices for items
it
like
confused
that
me
has always
when
been
that
just
happened.
such the weirdest shit. It's always impossible. I feel like some of the like high tier pinnacle items just have a dog shit Alk value for no reason, and then other ones just have like kind of what you'd expect, couple mil or just like 1 mil or like close to it. It's been very weird.
I mean, oftentimes Alk value is just determined to protect on death versus other things. Like, it's why you get weird items that have like 10,000 and
Alk
1
value?
GP Alk.
I thought it used a different price metric. I think there is a separate value that is used for that, because that was what they changed about something else.
Sure?
I need to check this.
I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking out of my ass.
I could be too, but I seem to remember that they changed the valuable the value of an item, not the Alk value. There's like a separate. It's like the shop value.
Shop values are based on Alk
sometimes.
value, are they not?
But they have changed. I believe they have changed
of the
some
value?
of the shop values because it's easier to change that than change the Alk value. But I
don't know. Sounds like some Iron Man shit.
Yeah, here we go. Item value.
All right. I'm waiting.
God, there's some weird math on this page. But yeah, value and Alk value are in fact separate. It looks like they are tied, but I believe.
Okay.
So I think what I'm thinking of is the fact that they changed this value, and then it subsequently does in fact change the Alk value. But because I saw value, I was like, oh, that's a separate thing. But the value is, high alchemy gives 0.6 times value coins, and then low alch gives 0.4 times value.
Yeah.
So, etc., etc. So, it is technically based on alch value, but that is because it is based on value. Yeah.
We were both correct.
Wacky.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. I assumed high alch gave 100% of the value, but apparently not.
Fun times.
It's interesting. Yeah.
So true.
What a weird game we play.
I'm straight.
Yeah, and then there was forestry changes.
I think.
Yeah, it was kind of nothing.
Yeah, dude, who cares?
You know what? You still cut the trees. You still get the bark.
Yep. I like that they made the bee event flowers different colors. Good job, guys. Good change.
Fucking gay. I love it.
Also true.
I realize there's probably not enough context there for your viewers. There's not enough context of why that's funny. I just look like a fucking bigot. I apologize.
No, it's okay. We support the gays here.
I do too. Wink, wink. Which also again gives the wrong. I'm not straight, fellas. That's where that's at. I don't know. I'm sure the XP wasters know that, but
notably,
yeah.
For forestry changes, random events. I'm just changing subject, dude. I'm just changing subject, dude. I don't care. Random events no longer spawn in range of forestry events.
He just edited that whole piece out right there, and he's like, anyway.
Yeah, I'm out, man. I'm changing the subject.
I'm not. I won't.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm kind of sad that they made it so random events no longer spawn in range of forestry events. I understand why they did that, but it's kind of cringe.
Oh, that is cringe.
Yeah,
I didn't know that change.
That's why I'm still saying this. You know, we gotta report on the news. That's our job here. That's definitely all we do on this podcast is report on the news. The based version of that change is they made it so box traps, fires, and mithril seeds, flowers just get removed if they're near forestry events. So that's cool. And then multi-cannons auto decay when they're placed on tiles occupied by forestry events, which just means whoever placed that cannon has to go claim their cannon back from Nolodian is his name, the guy in Cannonland.
Are there any PVM locations that are by?
No, I don't think so.
Forests. That
theoretically,
can get forestry events.
You could possibly. No, I don't think so. I don't think there's any way to grief PVMers with forestry, but that would be really funny. I was thinking mammoths, but it's A, too far away, and B, regular trees, so they can't spawn forestry events. But that would in fact be a little silly. And then they did some various small adjustments. They made it so that the Bee on a Stick event, if you have a Bee on a Stick, you get like significantly improved rewards. You get way more actual bark per action, which is cool. And then also they made it so that the difficulty of the event scales based on the number of people with Bee on a Stick, not the number of people cutting the tree. So if you want to have the event, pull up with boys that actually have it, and you'll get a good amount of difficulty and rewards from it. Otherwise, just don't have it. I thought that they changed it so that it also made it so that based on the number of players with bees on a stick, it would weight it differently as an event. Maybe that was already a thing and they didn't make that a change. Or maybe that's not a thing at all. I don't see it written here.
I don't remember reading that, but...
Anyways, Ultimate Iron Men can get fucked, but that's not a part of the conversation. They can deposit logs via the Friendly Forester in order to be able to buy things. This was not put out to all players. This is only for Ultimates. So, interesting.
Oh, that's
who cares? Yeah, I guess regular players don't give a shit anyway.
Regular players can just grab.
I do find it weird that, unfortunately, due to time constraints, we're unable to roll out this change to all players. That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, wait.
I don't understand how you can make an update that you couldn't just apply to all players, and therefore it also applies to Ultimate Irons. It doesn't need to be special for Ultimates. The whole point is just you put logs in and you can't get them back, and you use them at the Forester. Very weird. Very strange. And then they, speaking of strange things, or perhaps funky things, they changed the description of the funky-shaped log to make it more readable. Sure. And then they also... This was so weird.
Okay.
Forester was at the bottom of the collection log tab that it was in, and now it's in alphabetical order.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
They must be manually
I found that
sorting
very
list.
interesting.
It's not automatic.
So.
Yeah. It's weird.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. Apparently they changed Bounty Hunter. I don't care. I'm not going to read it. And then Jagex account people get 20 more bank slots. Let's fucking go.
Which is pretty sick.
I enjoy more bank slots for free.
Yeah. you should swap over.
I've seen some people bitching about it,
it's
and
good.
El Bozo. There's no reason not to have a Jagex account. I don't understand.
Mm-hmm. It's account security, and we've been asking for account security for years now.
And also, just like being able to like select your account from it's kind of cool.
Yeah, one-click login.
Yeah,
Nice.
super nice features. Great stuff. I don't understand why you wouldn't use it. I'm sure there's probably a reason, but I will probably, to someone that has a sound argument for why they don't have a Jagex account, I am just going to blanket your opinion with, I don't care.
The only valid argument that I've seen is I use Linux, and it doesn't work on Linux, but the clients work on Linux. So, come on, Jagex.
I'm sure they're working on
make
it.
Linux work for the launcher.
It's probably small audience, and guess what? Small audiences don't make them a lot of money, so they don't care that much.
Yeah, true.
That's how business works. Anyways, I don't think I got anything more to talk about.
True. Well,
yeah,
perfect
that's
timing.
That's why I'm looking at that
3
hour 58, 41
seconds. The track says 3 hours and 58 seconds, boys.
I was like speed running through the forestry changes just to get it out to the people that have made it all the way through here. Just a little treat at the end. You get the old school news that you probably already read.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Apparently, some people do actually get their old school news through this podcast. Which is wild to me. This is the worst place to get that. We talk about it like at least halfway through the podcast. Anyways, we got like 40 seconds.
Anyways. Oxie, thank you for joining us. Where can people find you?
You can head over to Spotify and search XP Waste. You can head over to YouTube, search XP Waste. Find us on Twitter. Find us on Instagram, XP Waste Podcast. Yeah, that's where you can find us. I almost like continued the plug that I'm used to doing from the show, and I'm like, I don't have to do that. It's not my show. That's awesome. But
yeah, no, just shout yourself out. Anyways, all of our things are going to be in the bottom description. I'm going to end this recording here. Goodbye.
The outro speedrun.